Metro of Madison Sports Center.
Good morning, Madison and streamers everywhere. I'm Jesse Nelson, Sports Center, brought to you by Ho-Chunk Gaming Madison, home of smoke-free slots and the highest payout percentage in the area. Ho-Chunk Gaming Madison, more spins, more wins, more fun. Milwaukee Brewers baseball on 100.5 ESPN, Madison's new home of the Brewers. Game 1 ends with a Brewers loss. 4-2 in the Bronx on opening day yesterday. The Brewers fall to the Yankees. It did get interesting in the ninth inning. First home run of the year for the Brewers belongs to Vinny Capra, hitting a solo shot early in the game. Brewers and Yankees off today because teams that don't have roofs do that for opening day. Game 2 of the season tomorrow in the Bronx, 12:05 first pitch. Pre-game coverage starts right around 11:30 here on Madison's new home of Milwaukee Brewers baseball, 100.5 ESPN. ESPN Madison also Madison's home of the Bucks, and tonight the Bucks host the New York Knicks at Fiserv Forum. Big game in the Eastern Conference as the Bucks continue to battle for playoff positioning in the middle of the conference standings. Tip time set for 7 o'clock. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:30 right here on 100.5 ESPN. ESPN Bet lists the Knicks as 1-point favorites for tonight's game. Wilde and Tausch with Joe Thomas coming up next.
Metro Kia of Madison, Madison's trusted Kia dealer. Stop into Metro Kia on the east side of Madison or metrokiaofmadison.com. Three-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year, Jason Wilde.
Is there anything anybody loves more than agreeing with Tausch?
Packers Hall of Famer Mark Tauscher.
I got a hunch this isn't going to be concise either.
Broadcasting live from the Everlight Solar Studio.
I would say that you are pretty easygoing. You're actually probably more easygoing than I am.
This is Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
Well, you're not easygoing at all.
Hey!
On 100.5 ESPN, the ESPN app, and Wisconsin On Demand.
It is the Friday edition. The end, at least theoretically, we'll see if he actually shows up on Monday, of the Tausch Spring Sabbatical edition. We've got so many great cousin subs of the day, cousin subs we believe in better, that are willing to step into the breach. Thank you all for your service. Sincerely, not as sacrificial as the things that our fighting men and women across our military do, but still appreciated edition. And I can't wait for reverse cam in the Everlight Solar ESPN Madison studios to see if today's cousin sub of the day has donned his gold jacket edition of Wilde and Tausch. On 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee, 100.5 ESPN Madison, 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam, ESPNWisconsin.com, the ESPN app, your Alexa smart speaker, streaming live video, sometimes Twitter, sometimes Facebook, always on YouTube, or almost always. And, of course, everything you need on WisconsinOnDemand.com and the Wisconsin On Demand app. I'm Jason Wilde in Green Bay. Jesse Nelson is in the Everlight Solar ESPN Madison studios, and he is joined there by the Pro Football Hall of Famer. And he makes us all feel very fit whenever he fills in. I've got my Joe Thomas Goodwill jersey on.
Oh, man, look at that.
Who on earth would give up such a valuable piece of memorabilia? It is Joe Thomas as our cousin sub of the day. Joseph! How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. It's great to be here. It's great to be with you finally without Tausch derailing our conversation and the show. And this is just going to be the joy that I didn't even know I needed.
I do. It does irritate me that in the rare instances where I take a day off, and it could be Dan Orlovsky, but it never is. His first call is always to you. So you fill in, and that's great because two great tackles, one greater than the other, together is great. I love it. But then I feel that FOMO, that fear of missing out, and I'm missing out. I miss out on Gotham Bagels. I miss out on apparently there's some Hall of Fame beef sticks that are there.
Oh yeah.
I miss out on everything. I miss out on great barbecue from Mission Barbecue. But, hey, we've got you for 3 hours. I couldn't be more thrilled. I am curious to start, though. Your hat says Hall of Fame beef. I wouldn't say that I have Hall of Fame beef with you or any beef whatsoever. I am just curious, where's the gold jacket? Like, I wore my jersey. Hey, I'm here. I'm supporting the Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it? How often do you wear it? Do you let the kids wear it around with, like, smocks when they're, like, painting? How does it work when you have a gold jacket from the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Yeah, well, I was looking for that Jason Wilde gold jacket at Goodwill, but unfortunately, apparently that's a much more in-demand item because I couldn't find any there, so I had to just go with this regular old black shirt. However, I think it's very special that I get this opportunity to speak with a man who has found a Joe Thomas jersey in Goodwill. And I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of them out there, but thank you for inviting me because I'm always available and I'm very cheap. Free is a great price for the cousin sub of the day. And to your first question, I do like letting my kids wear the Hall of Fame jacket. I do feel a little bit like embarrassed sometimes because not everybody has them. And, you know, when you wear it, it does grab a lot of attention. As a lineman from Wisconsin, we don't always look for that attention. But I do love when I've got it around the house because I have to do an event or something and I'll let the kids wear it and then they kind of fight over it a little bit. But the good news is, the NFL just gave us a new Hall of Fame jacket this year. They were kind of transitioning the styles. They're updating them a little bit, you know, from sort of like your old grandpa's non-flexible, really heavy coats to a more lightweight, comfortable flex fit type gold jacket. And so I have two of them now. So if the kids do get some Chick-fil-A sauce on my Hall of Fame jacket, it's okay because I got a replacement because I got a copy of the copy.
And we know, especially when the Hall of Fame is knocking at your door and Walter Jones is waiting, sometimes you've been known to be running around in your underwear and you got to get ready for that.
Yes.
I am curious, though, in all seriousness, like how often do you wear it? Like what events? I always ask Charles Woodson and I did an event at Lambeau Field a year and a half ago, and I was hoping he was going to wear it to the event. And you know how cool he is and how fashionable he is. He did not wear an ascot, and he didn't wear the jacket either. What are the socially acceptable times for you to wear that?
Yeah, so I'll put it on your producer, Jesse, because if he asks me to, then I'm allowed to wear it. The NFL Hall of Fame is actually fairly specific about when you can wear the jacket, right? They don't tell you, like, you can do this or that, but they say, use your best discretion. Don't just go wear it around all the time. You know, treat it sort of like a family heirloom keepsake that it is, and the special item that it represents, the career that you've put in, making it to the Hall of Fame. And so they really want to make sure that you're wearing it for only special events. You know, you're not wearing it for date night with the wife, going to the local movie theater. And so I get excited when I get to wear it because it is those special events. You get an opportunity when you are representing the Hall of Fame, when you're representing yourself in the capacity of a Hall of Famer at an appearance or a speaking engagement, and somebody asks you to wear it. It is really cool because then it for a guy from Wisconsin, you know, we're a little bit ashamed sometimes or humble about, you know, the success you've had in sports. And so in my mind when a guy like Jesse says, hey, wear your jacket. I'm like, awesome. Yes. I have that box that I can check in my mind now that it's socially acceptable. The Hall of Fame's not going to get mad if I wear this today because I was asked by my boss to show up and wear the jacket. Yes, my boss behind that glass. That's I could kick his butt at any moment. So he knows that, which is a good boss to have. He understands you can tell me what to do, but don't go too far. Don't go taking this thing ridiculous level because there might be some hell to pay. But maybe next time if Jesse reminds me.
I love that we could blame Jesse for not getting to see it.
Yeah, this is a new one that I've been blamed for a lot of things over the years. This is a new one, but I'll make sure to remind you next time.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're thrilled to have you. I am going to take off my jersey because my actual plan after finding it for $6.99.
Wow, that's expensive.
Still with the tags is to have you sign it for the girls and put it in a frame with your wise words of wisdom and motivation because I know you're great about that. So I will put this family in a safer location and we'll talk less fashion and more about football. I do want to get to a few things with you today because we are lucky enough to have you and a guy that can command such a salary doing this for free is sums you up in a very good way. So we appreciate that. Not only that, but then you bring food all the time.
Food, football, family. That's pretty much been my entire life.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Yeah.
And I do want to get into, for those that don't get to hear you regularly, I don't miss enough days for you to come in frequently to help out Tausch. I do want to get into a little bit what you're up to because I think that when I look at you, you seem to have, and the key word being seem, figured it out in terms of your transition from football to your second act. But I know that that's not necessarily true and that there are challenges for guys when they make that transition. And even though you maybe make it easy, maybe it's not as easy as you've made it look. So I want to get into that. I want to get into your view of the college sports landscape, the Badger men's basketball team just having its season come to an end. I'm reading stories from Jim Polzine in the State Journal about Nolan Winter wanting to stick around and John Blackwell wanting to stick around and John Tonje being able to deliver testimonials to other players that are looking for NIL and transfer portal opportunities. And I'm hopeful, but I'm still scared, you-know-what-less about the way college basketball and college football looks. So I know you've got insight on that. So we're excited to have you. Did you bring Jesse his own Hall of Fame beef sticks, or is he going to have to share with the rest of the ESPN Madison team?
I mean, in preschool as an only child, I was complimented for my sharing abilities. I feel like I've translated pretty well into my adult life in that same way, but I would love to have my own Hall of Fame beef. So I know there are some packages that are sitting out on the desks out in the office, and I plan on going to smuggle one entirely for myself during our next commercial break. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I've got you pegged pretty good. All right, Joe.
And I think Joe has me pegged that way too, and so he probably brought enough to accommodate for that, if I had to guess.
Yes, and it fits with every health plan that you're on, whatever diet you like. If you're eating Hall of Fame beef sticks, it's all beautiful, great grass-fed, grain-finished ingredients down by the banks of the Blue River in Wisconsin. And, you get these normal beef sticks, and they're full of all sorts of fillers and stuff. This is just good old-fashioned quality Hall of Fame beef, and tastes amazing. And it's got no carbs, basically. So, if you're watching your weight, if you're a person that's a performance guy and you need the protein, it checks both boxes.
Well, I can't wait for you to open up Hall of Fame donuts, so it's more my speed.
Yes, they're coming next. Food, family, football. Remember that, Jason.
The great Joe Thomas is our cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe in better. He is subbing for Tausch, who will tell us about Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, and then we'll be back with Joe Thomas. It's Wilde and Tausch.
Mark Tauscher here for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Well, we talk a lot about the unprecedented quality and service you get from Pella. But talking to the people who work there, you can tell how much they genuinely love what they do. Pella's team is with you from start to finish. They don't disappear after the sale. Right now, take advantage of windows as low as $22 per month and doors as low as $89 per month. Certain restrictions do apply. This offer ends March 31st, 2025. Get started today at PellaWI.com.
This is Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Call Gina Della from Pella today, 855-PELLA-WI, and online at PellaWI.com/radio.
Football fans, Verizon is giving you the chance to win the ultimate draft experience with the Road to the Draft sweepstakes. 10 lucky winners will win tickets to the first day of the 2025 draft in Green Bay, including round-trip car service from Milwaukee, hotel accommodations, plus access to the Verizon viewing zone. Don't miss your chance to win the ultimate draft experience powered by Verizon. Hurry to select Wisconsin Verizon locations to enter by April 13th. No purchase necessary to enter. Must be legal U.S. resident of Wisconsin or Illinois, age 21 years or older to enter. Void where prohibited. For official rules and full details, visit www.espnwisconsincontest.com.
Being a Pella consultant means helping people build their dreams.
Customers really appreciate just how prepared we are. All the samples, the videos, pictures.
We are with you from start to finish. You literally have a friend from beginning to end and beyond with your project.
Our Pella team simplifies the process, taking time to listen and find the right solution for you. And right now, get windows as low as $22 per month and doors as low as $89 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 3/31/2025.
Hi, this is Lee, inviting you to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in Middleton. We got a great happy hour every day of the week from 4 o'clock to 7, and our patio during the summer is open too. If you're getting married, a special occasion, a birthday, anniversary, or even a business meeting, we've got all the accommodations right here at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. You work hard and sometimes you're not sure what you want to do, where you want to spend your money. I want to encourage you to come into Ruth's Chris Steakhouse and say hello. It'd be a pleasure to meet you.
The area's best high school sports coverage is Zimbrick Honda's presentation of Prep Mania.
Relive every high-flying dunk.
Oh! And a one-hand slam!
And fantastic finish.
We are going to overtime, folks!
From the boys' state basketball tournament.
Back-to-back state championships for the Wisconsin Lutheran Vikings.
Download all 5 state championship games on Wisconsin On Demand or wherever you get your podcasts.
Listen to Madison Money Guy every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. on 100.5 ESPN and ESPNWisconsin.com.
I like to refer to inflation as the silent killer. It's an invisible risk. It's just the idea that things get more expensive over time. You're going to need milk and eggs when you're in your early 60s and when you're in your early 80s. You're going to get a loaf of bread, and it's going to be more expensive 20 years from now.
Christian Finfrock is the Madison Money Guy. Call him today at 208-1800.
Mark Tusher here for Chalmers Jewelers. I've been a big fan of Scott, Garrett, and the whole team at Chalmers Jewelers for years now. I go there, my friends go there, and most importantly, my wife loves it whenever I get her something from Chalmers Jewelers. It's my go-to spot for birthdays, anniversaries, and any special occasion. For quality jewelry and a great experience, choose Chalmers Jewelers, the place to go for that perfect gift. Stop at Chalmers Jewelers in Middleton and Madison.
Chalmers Jewelers in Middleton
and Madison.
Look, we all know that as we age, our bodies change, but Carbon World Health can help. They have a process of testosterone replacement therapy that includes a diagnostic exam and blood tests to assess your hormone levels to make sure that they are optimal for you, not optimal for your age. Carbon World Health can help you increase your energy, focus, and overall health with their approach to hormone therapy. It's all about quality of life for you. Learn more at carbonworldhealth.com.
Hey, ready to sweeten your game? It's time for Quick Trip's Nature's Touch Ice Cream. Ooh, making moves like the starting lineup of a championship team. Whether you're gearing up for the big game, celebrating a win, or just looking for a sweet break in the action. Chocolate, vanilla, cookies and cream, mint chocolate chip, and more. Yeah, there's no such thing as a bad pick. So why wait? Flavor doesn't scoop itself. Get your hands on your winning Nature's Touch Ice Cream flavor today. Only at Quick Trip.
We're on the Badgers.
It was successful, but also disappointing. That's just what this season was. I don't think any of us went into this season going, they're going to be a 3 seed. They're going to be really good this year. They're going to be competing for a Big Ten championship again.
This is 100.5 ESPN and Wisconsin On Demand.
This ain't a good time, but when is it ever? I know the perfect time, and maybe that's never. So don't you dare leave me now. Throw my heart on the ground. 'Cause tonight ain't the night for sorrow. But you can hurt me tomorrow. You can hurt me.
I still can't believe that Joe Thomas referred to Jesse as his boss. But hey, Jesse, I appreciate the fact that you espouse Dick Bennett's 5 pillars, or at least, I don't know, one of them. Humility, passion, unity, servanthood, and thankfulness. At least servanthood, you got him a cup of coffee. So good work by you.
I did do that.
Also, if we get double Jesse in the video.
The amount of time, we had an issue there. The amount of times that Tausch has asked me to get him a cup of coffee, and we've had issues with that coffee machine, and we've heard all about it here on the show. This was a nice change of pace. That it was just, here's a cup of coffee, thank you, and we were able to move on. That was nice.
So is Tausch a coffee diva, or was there an actual issue with the making of the coffee?
There have been many times he's come in and the coffee machine just doesn't work.
That's frustrating.
When he hasn't stopped at Quick Trip and gotten a coffee on the way in, which he's learned now he just does that, and usually that checks all the boxes for us. But when he's done that, it has resulted in some consternation from old T.
I'm not going to call him a diva, but I'm not going to stop you from calling him one.
Yes.
So, Joe, I think it's one of my favorite memories of covering you and knowing you is your draft day story. And with the draft coming to Green Bay and what it has become, the spectacle it has become, I find myself wondering if you were a prospect in 2025 instead of in 2007, if the NFL would have tried to twist your very muscular arm into, hey, that's cute. You want to go fishing? That's nice. What a family man. But we need your butt on stage. Remind people how you spent your draft day, and then I'm curious what your view is of it's in Green Bay, which is obviously a huge deal, but your view of what it has now become since then, because it has gone far beyond what it was in 2007.
Oh, yeah. It's way more of a spectacle now than in 2007 when I was drafted. In 2007, they only invited 5 guys to the draft. So Gil Brandt, I think, was the scout that was in charge of basically looking at all the prospects and figuring out, okay, who do I think are going to be the top 5 guys that go. And, occasionally if there was another quarterback that they wanted there as part of the show, they would bring him there. But then if you go back 20, 30 years, the draft was not even covered on TV, right? It really wasn't a spectacle at all until the NFL realized, oh, hey, we can make some money here. We can sell some tickets. We can put it on TV. There's a lot of people that are really interested in this, and it's quite a show. I mean, there's no game. So I think initially they were like, nobody's going to watch it. There's nothing at stake from like a wins and losses standpoint. But then they realized, you know what, for all these teams like the Cleveland Browns and these people that aren't making the playoffs, this is their Super Bowl. This is their opportunity to feel like they won. And for the most part, I would say 80% of the teams that leave the draft, they feel like they won, right? Everyone's like, hey, we checked our boxes. We got the players that we identified, because that's always the message that the team gives you at the end of the draft. We had these players identified, and we were really lucky. We would have taken them higher. You always hear that. How many times do you hear that? Well, we were going to take him in the second round, but, we're just so smart. We knew he would fall to the 6th round, like with Brady. Like, oh, the Patriots knew he was going to be the greatest quarterback ever, but they just knew he'd fall to the 6th round so they could wait on him. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. But it's so much more of a spectacle now, and it's great for the players that have that dream since they were kids, because they did grow up watching the draft on TV. They did grow up dreaming of that moment where they were birthed into the NFL and they got a chance to hug Roger Goodell, but that wasn't me as a kid. Like, I never remember watching the draft probably ever in my life until I was actually an NFL player. And so when they asked me in 2007 to go to the draft, I told Gil Brandt, he called me up. He's like all excited. Hey, Joe, we're really excited. We want to let you know that we're going to have you to New York for the draft. And, you can come out 2 or 3 days early. We got all these opportunities for you to wear a suit and get in front of the camera and market yourself and all this stuff. And he kind of was like, hey, Joe, are you there? Because there was this long pause on the phone. And I was like, well, Gil, I already have plans. I'm going fishing with my dad. I can't be there. And then there was another long pause. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, if you get invited, you go. I don't think either one of us had ever considered the outcome that was going to happen. Like, he never considered somebody would be invited and not want to go. And I never considered that I would be invited and want to go because, well, on Saturday morning, which the first round used to be on Saturday morning,
right?
I go fishing with my dad. And, like, I'm pretty sure after I get drafted, the team's going to be holding my feet to the fire to show up, like, immediately to start training and working, especially as a first-round pick. They're going to want you there. And I'm like, I don't know when the next chance is going to be that I'm going to get on Lake Michigan and get to go salmon fishing with my dad. And so I certainly don't want to waste it getting paraded around New York in a suit that I don't have, that I'm going to have to go out and spend a bunch of money on and find all these marketing endorsements for an offensive lineman, which, you know, newsflash, I'm not Patrick Mahomes. I'm not exactly killing it at the bank, you know, doing Arby's and Hardee's commercials or the chicken nugget commercials with Andy Reid. So, like, I had no interest whatsoever. And actually, he called again and invited me again. And then I still said no. And then, like, the third call, he played bad cop. He was like, look, these teams are going to think you're a diva if you don't show up. Like, the NFL needs you there. This is part of the production. And I told him, I said, Gil, I'm not an employee of the NFL. You can say whatever you want, but I'm not going to the draft. I'm going fishing with my dad. And I think he, at that point, finally realized, like, this dude's serious. Like, this is not a show. This is nothing. Like, he just doesn't have any interest at all, and he'd rather be fishing with his dad. And I was like, absolutely. And I said, if you have any more questions, concerns, comments, considerations, this is my agent, Peter Schaefer. This is his number. You can talk to him because he's already said it's fine. My only stipulation is he wanted to make sure that I had my cell phone with me because he said, he gave me this long story, and this is, sorry, it's a long story, but he said, like 30 years ago, as of today, maybe it was, 10 years at the time, there was a player that had been drafted by a team who, like, passed away a couple days before the draft, and nobody knew about it. This was later in the rounds. And so he said also guys have gotten arrested, like, the night before the draft for significant, serious things, gotten injured doing dumb stuff. And so before they draft you, this is what my agent told me, he's like, they want to be able to talk to you on the phone, and they're going to ask you, are you healthy? Has anything changed with your health or legal status since the last time we talked? And they just want to confirm everything before they actually put the pick in, because they obviously don't want to have that embarrassment of, drafting a guy who just had some major thing that would affect his draft status happen within the last couple days before the draft. So I said, yep, no problem. We'll fish close to shore. I'll have my cell phone. I'll make sure that my Motorola flip phone is working. And if you ever go back and you see, like, the NFL films or the NFL Network show that they did on the draft, and they've got some video of me on the boat, you can see, like, that old school Motorola flip phone. No texting capabilities. The number came in from a 440 area code in Berea, Ohio, and answered that. And then Romeo Cornell and Phil Savage said, hey, would you like to be a Brown? Absolutely. I'll be there as soon as I'm done reeling in this brown trout.
And in fairness to you, by the way, this was, I mean, I don't know if you got any fishing endorsements out of the deal, but, like, this was so great for the NFL, right? I mean, it was such a great look for you. And I know you didn't do it because it was a good look. It was because you love your dad and you have a tradition and you weren't going to change that even for the draft. But wouldn't you agree that that turned out to be great for the NFL? And I mean, who doesn't want a guy who, instead of the bright lights, big city of New York, chooses to go fishing with his dad on draft day? Like, they had to be thanking you after the fact. God, Joe, that was great. I mean, they had a camera there, didn't they? What? There was video of you on the boat, wasn't there?
Yeah, so that was one of the stipulations because, after they realized I wasn't going, they're like, can we have a live feed on the boat and get your reaction? And I was like, no, that's not why I'm doing this. But I said, to record it for posterity, someday my kids will want to watch that moment. I said, we can have one camera on the boat who's just recording footage. And then once we're done fishing, I don't want them to bother me. I'm not doing any, like, B-roll or any setup or any, second takes of catching this fish. I'm fishing. If they want to record it, that's fine. But, like, nothing live. And then you guys can take your video to shore and do whatever you want with it. That's fine. And so that was kind of the agreement that we came to. But shout out to Eric Thomas, my dad, great dad, Brookfield, Wisconsin, always taking me fishing Saturday mornings on Lake Michigan, and it became a big tradition of ours. And to your point, Roger Goodell ended up talking to me, like, several years later because I would see him at a lot of events and stuff, and he said, what a great thing for you to go fishing with your dad. And he basically leaned into what you were saying about, at the time, they were just starting to make it a big TV event.
Right.
And a couple years before, if you remember, Aaron Rodgers, he dropped in the draft, and he's sitting there in the green room sweating it out, and, everybody's worried, and it makes for great drama. It is. And the year of my draft, that happened to Brady Quinn. And so I think they were so focused on creating this TV product that they weren't thinking long range down the road, where a guy like me, who wasn't doing it for any reason other than I'd rather be fishing with my dad.
Right.
But to tell the story of these NFL players that, we do have a variety of interests. We come from a lot of different backgrounds. That's what makes this game special. We got little kickers who are 5'6", 160 pounds running around, and we got guys that I played with my rookie year in the NFL, Ted Washington, who's 6'5", 400 pounds. We got guys from the country. We got guys from Canada. We got guys from Germany. We got guys from the city. We got guys from all over the world. So there's a position, no matter what you look like or who you are or where you come from, that if you're great, you can find a place to play on an NFL team. And I think they're starting to understand that by how they're telling the stories of the players. And they realize that that's what fans want, right? Fans don't want just some monochromatic view of every NFL player. They all do this. They look like this. They come from this background. The beauty of the NFL, to me, is the diversity that we have in every aspect that you can measure. And for them to have a guy that just wanted to be with his family, be with his dad, and go fishing, that was a great story for them that now they've told way more than if I would have just been there for 5 minutes holding up the jersey in New York and giving Roger Goodell a hug.
Right. I mean, I saw it brought back up when you went into the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
That was one of the, for all the other things that you've accomplished and all the things that make us love you as a teammate and as a friend, it is one of the signature moments of your journey in football. And by the way, did you have to stage actual fish that were caught, or did you have a successful day on the water?
It was a successful day. So for those of you salmon and trout fanatics that fish Lake Michigan, April is a bit early. The water is just a little cold. It's not exactly perfect timing to go fishing, but that's what we were going to do. And so we got, I think, one really nice brown trout, a 10-pounder. So it was a really nice fish, and I think we got one lake trout. And my argument to this day is that we would have caught more, but I got drafted third, so we had to cut the trip a little shorter than we expected.
Do you remember who the camera person was?
Oh, my gosh. I'm sure you do. If you're asking that question, I cannot remember, unfortunately.
Because I'd like to know that.
It was him. It was
I don't know if it wasn't me. I don't want to tell you how old I was. I don't want to make you feel bad.
Thanks.
I'd love to hear that person's story someday. If that person is still around, who drew the assignment? Okay, everyone else is at the draft. I got to go on the boat with this guy.
Well,
and not talk to him and not stage anything and not say anything to him.
It was probably the easiest gig he ever had. He's like, I get to sit on the boat, I get to drink pop, and sit here on the back and just film a little bit, 2 minutes of cuts. That's pretty easy, and I don't even have to get him to say anything. Usually if you're producing and you're video and you're doing all that yourself, there's a lot of stuff going on here. You're trying to get a piece. We need to get 3 segments or whatever. And for this guy, they were like, we have no expectations at all. Just be there, get some shots of him talking on the phone and catching a fish, and we're happy.
I would say, just in defense of the NFL, as it turned out, that draft class, the number 1 overall pick, of course, was Jamarcus Russell. Number 2 was Calvin Johnson, who is in Canton with you, right? After you at number 3, Gaines Adams, Levi Brown, LaRon Landry, and Adrian Peterson. So those were the top 7 picks that year. So I would have wanted you there, too, from a TV perspective. But the fishing trip was far, far superior.
Never realized how boom or bust that entire top 7 or 8 was.
You go through that entire draft. It's actually pretty interesting, and obviously I have a great deal of bias because I was in that draft. But it was incredibly boom or bust with, like you said, Jamarcus Russell. The name that comes up a lot of times as one of the biggest busts of all time was number 1 overall when they could have taken Calvin Johnson. They could have taken Adrian Peterson. Patrick Willis, another Hall of Famer. How about Marshawn Lynch? Could have had him. He was okay. And you just go down the list, and it's just
Darrell Revis was in that draft.
Shut him down. Leon Hall had a pretty good career in Cincinnati. Joe Staley, another multiple Pro Bowl tackle. So Greg Olson. You go down the list, and you either hit the ball out of the park or you had a guy that was out of the NFL in 3-4 years.
Speaking of guys that were out of the NFL in 3 or 4 years, the Packers pick at number 16 was Justin Harrell. And the Browns were trying to trade up to take Brady Quinn at that pick. The Packers had an offer for their first rounder that year and the following year, and they passed it up because they had to have Justin Harrell. That one did not work out particularly well. All right. The draft is coming to Green Bay, as I mentioned. We'll talk a little more about all the other experiences Joe had throughout his journey in the NFL. But the draft is right around the corner. They're starting to put up the stage. They're starting to take out parts of like fences and things that are along the Oneida Street. So it is definitely coming up very quickly. And, of course, Verizon is going to give you a chance to be there for it with the ultimate draft experience with the Road to the Draft sweepstakes. 10 lucky winners will win tickets to the first day of the 2025 NFL Draft in Green Bay, and you're not allowed to go fishing instead. Here's what you do get. A round-trip car service from Milwaukee, hotel accommodations, plus access to the Verizon viewing zone where you'll be taken care of like a first-round pick. So don't miss your chance to win the ultimate draft experience powered by Verizon. But hurry to select Wisconsin Verizon locations so you can enter by April 13th. More with Joe Thomas, our cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe in better. It's Wilde and Tausch.
Brewers baseball is in the air.
It's back, and it is up, and it is gone. A walk-off homer for Vinny Capra.
Spring back into the baseball season on 100.5 ESPN, Madison's new home of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, and springtime is here and baseball season is officially underway. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your Prize Picks lineups. On Prize Picks, you can mix and match player projections from different sports. You can combine your favorite baseball players with players from basketball and hockey and esports and much more. The second half of the basketball season is here, and the push to the playoffs is heating up on Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. Download the app today and use code WI to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code WI to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
We ask and you answer. Tune in to Jim, Matt, and Molly every weekday 4 to 6 and follow at Jim, Matt, Molly on X to vote in daily poll questions presented by Siding Unlimited, your local window installation pros.
Drum roll, please.
Carbliss is here with refreshing new flavors. Introducing their Tropical Bliss Variety Pack. Let the summertime flavors of blood orange, watermelon, raspberry, and grapefruit whisk you away from the winter blues. New flavors, same great Carbliss perks. Every handcrafted cocktail still has 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and just 100 calories. Find the Tropical Bliss Variety Pack in store wherever Carbliss is sold and enjoy your winter passport to paradise. Grab a pack today and discover why Bliss is more with Carbliss.
When you're in the right place at the right time, things get done. The important things, like knowing what you need and how it all works. Talking truck. Fixing it right the first time. At Zimbrick Chevrolet, our people get it done right and now. That's how you know you're in the right place at the right time. And you'll never overpay at Zimbrick Chevrolet.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion, or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
When you're having computer problems, you need a company you trust to get things working again, quickly and affordably. Madison Computer Works has been doing that for business and residential customers for decades. Our computer care plans take away the hassle of being without your computer or needing to bring it in for repair. Starting at only $10 a month, our local and friendly techs provide remote help and can fix most problems in just minutes. Call 608-231-8000 and sign up today. Madison Computer Works, computers that work for you.
Gruber Law Office's Thanalysis Live is back. March 29th at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Join Thanasis Adetokunbo for a live show that's sure to entertain like none other. Last year, it was a surprise appearance from ESPN's Stephen A. Smith. You never know what Thanasis has planned for 2025. Get your tickets to Thanalysis Live right now. Visit ESPN Madison on Twitter for event and ticket info. It's Gruber Law Office's Thanalysis Live, presented by Potawatomi Casino Hotel and Carbliss. Also supported by the Prisoner Wine Company and McDonald's.
Is it Waukesha or Waukesha? Brat or Brat? Is it ever okay to vacation in Minnesota? Wisconsinites can't agree on everything, but we can agree getting paid earlier is better. That's why UW Credit Union is making members direct deposits available up to 2 days earlier. Early payday at UW Credit Union. Join today. Federally insured by NCUA. Visit uwcu.org for details.
We're on the Packers.
If they're not better this year,
because we're on Wisconsin sports,
there's going to be a lot of seats warming up.
Nobody covers the green and gold like 100.5 ESPN.
Continuing with Joe Thomas as our cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe in better. And I just came across, as I Googled the fish story, a photo of you and your dad, and you must be 5, maybe? I mean, you're a hulk of a man, so I don't know if you were big as a kid, too. You might only be like a year and a half old, but you're holding a giant fish, and you're wearing an unbelievably fashionable pink ensemble, so I really like that.
Yes, I know that picture.
So that's it's proof that is a history thing with you and your pops. That's not just that goes to show it was not for show.
No, no, I was doing that because that's what we did on Saturdays. That was like what I looked forward to all week. My dad had like a little 17-foot, I don't even know what kind of boat it was, Grumman or something like that, with like a 88 Johnson motor on the back. And he used to take a boat cushion because we used to fish from like, we get up at 3 and we'd be on the water by like 4. And then, you know, you're 5 years old, you're a little tired at that time in the morning, and said, give me a boat cushion and just throw it on the side. And I'd go up and I'd sleep in the front until we caught something, and then he'd holler to me and I'd get to reel it in. It was the best. I wish I could still do that. Hey, wake me up when the fish is on and I'll reel it in for you.
Well, we love that story. I think there's going to be more folks that are going to have questions for you. So, Jesse, if you want to start curating some of those, I don't need to. I know you're one of those people that doesn't like to hear how great you are, as opposed to Jesse, who always wants to hear that as he eats his beef stick.
Hey, I appreciate that, Jesse. There's a 20 in your locker.
Apple cheddar, it's good.
The apple cheddar is my kid's favorite. They're pissed I'm bringing it here, and I didn't say waste, but they were saying wasting it on my friends at ESPN Wisconsin.
I love the fact that of all the people that would get the ones that your kids like, it's Jesse.
Take that,
he's my
Thomas,
boss.
He's
my boss. I got to treat my boss well.
So we're excited to have you. We will take, if folks have other questions, you could text them to the Carbless Talk and Text line, 844-770-3776. We'll also monitor the YouTube comments and Twitter and Facebook, so you can get those questions in. I do have one question I wanted to get to, so not to say to get it out of the way, but you made a statement when this whole drama with Myles Garrett was going on. And Myles Garrett, well, he either followed your advice or he followed the money, or maybe both, because he ended up staying in Cleveland after demanding a trade, and now he's got a contract with a no-trade clause in it, which I'm not sure I understand. What do you make of that scenario? Because much like, I can't say a young Jason Wilde because it wasn't that long ago, but much like I held out hope that in the waning years of your career, after you weren't traded to the Broncos, that you'd be traded to the Packers, and I would cover you for a year. He's now staying in Cleveland the way you did. I'm curious how you view that, and as someone who, while you may be a Packers fan from birth, you're obviously a Browns fan. How do you view that for the Browns' future?
When you mentioned Jesse's name, I thought you were going to tell me that he demanded a trade this offseason as well, and you were hoping he was going to leave.
They've been hoping that for a while.
Yeah,
we would have jumped at that.
I got a clause, too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So after this all came out and Miles said, he wants to be traded, I reached out to him because we have a bit of a relationship. He was a rookie in my last year, and then I got hurt my tricep tendon, and stuck around the team, and I loved the coach. I loved the mentor guys, and he was obviously great. So I was like, well, this will be fun. Like, I could tell this guy to do anything, and he could do it, which is not usually true with even pro athletes, but it was really fun. So I kind of helped him that season break down the tackles he was going to go against, give him ideas of, these are the moves that they're going to have a hard time with. This is how you should set it up, so on and so forth. And so we've had a relationship, and I reached out to him and just said, hey, look, as one of the old guys in Cleveland that gets asked a lot of questions by the media and by fans, like, what's the message you want me to give to them? I'm not here to try to change your mind, because I don't think that works. I think all that does is sort of fray a relationship, a friendship that you have if you're going to just come in with the team and the fan base's best interest in mind and say, what are you doing? You got to stay. That's how you find yourself on the blocked caller list if you're going to do that. But I just reached out and I said, hey, man, is there anything I can do? But I want to know, what's the message you want me to give to the fan base? And he said, just let them know that it's not about money. It's, I really want to go and find a championship. And I said, okay. So that's what I relayed to everybody. And then I also relayed my own story and how meaningful it was for me to be able to play my entire career in one location, to be able to go into the Hall of Fame as one of the few guys in nowadays NFL that gets a chance to play their entire career for one fan base. And I thought, that was really special to me. And so later on, I relayed that to Miles, my experience, how special it was, how cool it was that if anybody thinks of me in my football career, they think of me as a Cleveland Brown. And I'm forever attached to that fan base in Cleveland. And if you go somewhere else and think you're going to be able to win a championship because they look good on paper and I'm going to go here or there, it doesn't happen like that in the NFL. So if you're Miles and you go and leave and try to play for, let's say, the Eagles, who are completely stacked, which I don't know how they could afford him, but let's say he went there, what are the chances they repeat and win again? In the NFL, it is really, 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 really hard to consistently win. And it's even much harder if you don't have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. You look at the last 20 years, right? Kansas City Chiefs,
right?
Tom Brady with the New England Patriots. They've dominated because of the greatness of the quarterback position, but they still don't win the Super Bowl every year when they were at their best. And so guys all the time try to go find a team, and they pick that team. They think they're going to go win a championship, and it doesn't work out the way they had hoped. And then not only did you leave the team that drafted you, so you never have that ability when you're old and gray sitting in that rocking chair to have the pride of knowing that I played for one organization and that is my second home, which I think is very special, especially as you get older. But now you've left them. They despise you because they feel like you're a traitor, and you've gone to another place who's like, hey, you promised us a championship when you came here and you didn't win one. So now they don't even really like you. So it's like you're now a man without a home. And I think I didn't say this to Miles because by the time the news broke that he was coming back to Cleveland, I didn't have to say anything. But I'm like, he is close with LeBron. And I'm like, depending on the answer you want is who you're going to ask the question to. So you're going to ask LeBron, hey, should I leave Cleveland and chase a championship? What do you think he's going to say? Of course he's going to say, yes, you should, because that was his story. That was what he did, and then he ended up coming back to Cleveland and winning a championship. But the NBA and the NFL are completely different. Obviously, with the NBA, you have so much more impact if you put 2 or 3 great players together. Then you can kind of go chase a championship. But even then, I would imagine that if you ask LeBron, like, what's more meaningful, winning in Cleveland or going and creating a super team and winning it in Miami? Like, if you don't put in the work and you don't build something from the ground up, and this is true in any walk of life, like, the meaning behind it that's long-lasting won't be there. But if you win a championship in Cleveland and you turn a team that's never won a championship from the beginning of the Super Bowl era, and you take this team when you were a rookie and you build and you create something special and you win a championship, that is the ultimate notch on your belt in pro sports. Just showing up and having a ring, yeah, that's great. And a lot of players want to tell you how great it is, but it's not nearly as meaningful as if you were there when the hard work was being done and you were changing the culture of an organization and you were forcing and forging your teammates into a team that went and built it and won a championship.
So when I look at Packers who started elsewhere and then won titles, right? Like obviously Reggie White, but there were a few others on that team, Santana Dotson, etc. Charles Woodson, right? But both of those guys, they didn't just arrive and then they won the title the next year. They were part of what you're talking about. So for you, is there any void at all with everything you've accomplished, including the now 2 gold jackets since they have redesigned them? Do you watch the Super Bowl every year, and is there a little pang of, God, I wish I would have just gotten to play in one of those, or, I mean, maybe even just a playoff game?
Ouch.
I'm
low blow
a jerk.
there. He does that. I appreciate that.
That's part.
But yeah, that's
part
true.
of my brand.
I never made the playoffs.
So is there that any of that, or like is it just, hey, I had the career I had, it was a blessing, it was great, but it would have been nice to have that on there too.
When I walk around the streets of Cleveland and I back there going to sporting events, going fishing on Lake Erie, and you run into fans all the time, and the thing you hear more than anything is like they always would say to you, hey, just one before I die, right? They've never won a Super Bowl. This is one of the most passionate fan bases in the country. And really the only sadness, regret that I have in my career is that I wasn't able to be there to win a Super Bowl for those fans. And I say that twofold. One, because I think the fan base is very deserving. They love their team. It is what you do in Cleveland. It is who you are, much like Green Bay. It's a bigger city than Green Bay, but the passion is the same. Like, what are you going to do on game day? Like, nothing's going on. There's no bars. I mean, the bars are open. There's nobody that's going to the grocery store. There's no one going to the regular stores. Like, everybody's watching the game. That's what everybody talks about on Monday. If you win, everybody's having a great Monday. If you lose, everybody's miserable till the next game. And so for me, like, that's the only sadness that I have is, like, not being able to win a championship and bring one to Cleveland, which is what my whole career was based on, right? It was, hey, I want to win a championship in Cleveland. I want to be here because that will be the most special thing that anybody could ever do in their career is be drafted by a team, especially a team that's never won a Super Bowl, and be there and be part of the building process, win a Super Bowl for that city, that team. Like, that's meaningful to me as a servant. Like we were talking earlier about the transition to post-career, like what you're doing and trying to find happiness and being content. And like for me, I found I was lucky because I got right into the media world and I had a lot of other opportunities that were great, but I realized pretty quickly that what makes me happy is not doing things for myself, but doing things for other people, being a great servant for my wife, my kids, my family, my community. And that's what I try to do every single day when I wake up. And it gives me great joy because I feel like I'm working for somebody else. And it was the mindset I had on the offensive line, right? I'm not working for me to go make another Pro Bowl. Like, I'm working for that running back who's in his 3rd year, who wants to get that big contract to set his family up for life because I care about him. And if I'm doing it for him, I'm going to work and play so much harder and better than if I'm doing it for myself. And so I think that is the thing that it was tough in my career, was just not being able to win one for those fans, not being able to seal the deal and like finish what I started. But in the end, like, I can't do anything about it. Like, I played pretty well. I kind of did what I could. I did what I felt like was my best job, And, it wasn't enough in the time. And so I don't really have any regrets, and I don't watch the Super Bowl with any bitterness or anything. And it's been easy for me to transition to being 100% fan and business owner and coach and dad and all the things that I am now, the identities that I've adapted. And I never feel any sadness because I always felt like I gave everything I had on the football field. I did everything I possibly could. And you know what? Not everybody gets to win a Super Bowl, just the way it is.
I love what you said there, and I would never say that you and I are similar in very many ways.
Go ahead, say
at least until Hall of Fame donuts open.
Yes.
But I don't think people realize, and look, obviously Dick Bennett is someone that I just admire and adore so much. And when I talk about his pillars, I was talking to Mike Kelly a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about how we've got to get him into the Basketball Hall of Fame. But the servanthood thing, I think what people don't understand, because I'm wired the exact same way with Paula and the girls and other, here's the cool thing about that is what you just said. You still manage to get something really great, and that is the feeling of doing things for others. That's a high in and of itself. Personal accomplishment is great, but when you get to, there's a weird selfishness to being unselfish. You get to feel that happiness of what you were able to help someone else experience. So the fact that you do that, I mean, you know what high regard I hold you in, but for you to articulate that today on the show, I hope more people hear that, because I do look around the world, and I do not want to turn this into any sort of statement on anything, but there's a lot of people that are looking out for only themselves. And I think we need more people like Joe Thomas, not more people like me, but definitely more people like Joe Thomas that are driven by that. All right, we need to get to trivia. I don't want to get all sappy here. So, Jesse, is it Joe Thomas trivia? Is that what we're doing?
Nah, we've done that before. We don't need to go down that.
How did people fare in that when we've done that? Was it one of those where people didn't do very well?
Yeah, they struggled.
A lot of the basic facts I think everybody's got down
What
pretty
is Joe's favorite
clearly.
color?
I don't even think I know some of these answers, right?
Talking about the NFL draft coming up in Green Bay, and of course we'll talk more about that as the show continues. Name the city of that NFL draft. Is today's trivia category. So looking back on the last decade or so of drafts that have bounced around the country. Name the city of that NFL draft.
All right, Joe wore 73 with the Browns. We're not going to ask for caller 73, but that adds up to 10. And then with the Badgers, he wore 72, so that's 9. So caller 19, because we want to make Jesse work a little bit. Was 72 not available when you got to Cleveland?
Correct. So when I got to Cleveland, Ryan Tucker was the starting right tackle. He had 72, and being a young boy from Wisconsin who did not have NIL money, I came in the locker room, and he's like an 11-year vet, and I think he was pretty excited. All right, 3rd overall pick. This guy's got a lot of money, and he was like, hey, I'm number 72, but you can have it for $10,000. And I went right into the equipment room. And I go, what's the closest number that's available to 72? Because I'll take it.
And saved yourself $10,000.
Yeah, that's right. Imagine what that could do right now. That $10,000 in 2017, if you would have just put it in the stock market, it's probably $100 now.
Could have put it into lures for fishing.
Yeah, imagine all the fishing lures you get for $100,000.
All right, so caller 19 for trivia, 844-770-3776, 844-770-3776. We'll play trivia next after Tausch tells us about his love of Coors Light. Stick around with Joe Thomas as our cousin sub of the day. It's Wilde and Tausch.
Mark Tauscher here for the Blue Mountains of cold, refreshing Coors Light. Whether you're tailgating pregame, enjoying your experience during the game, or celebrating a big win after the game, or you just need a moment to chill, crack open a Rocky Mountain cold Coors Light. Coors Light is brewed with a 3-step cold process: cold lager, cold filtered, and it's cold packaged, so it's actually made to chill. The mountains on Coors Light's cold activated bottles and cans, they turn blue. That's when you know it is chilled to perfection, which, besides the refreshing taste, is my favorite thing about drinking Coors Light. Refreshingly cold and only 102 calories, Coors Light is made to chill. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
We're on the Badgers.
It was successful, but also disappointing. That's just what this season was. I don't think any of us went into the season going, they're going to be a 3 seed. They're going to be really good this year. They're going to be competing for a Big Ten championship again.
This is 100.5 ESPN and Wisconsin On Demand.
Mark Tauscher here, and with baseball season underway, as heard right here on 100.5 ESPN, it's definitely a Feelgood Friday on Wilde and Tausch, painted by Hallman Lindsay Paints. Stick around to start your weekend right by hearing some of the best feel-good stories of the week. And if you want to make sure you get your next paint project at home done right, then I suggest you do what my family did and trust the pro painters at Hallman Lindsay Paints. Get connected with the perfect pro painter for what your project calls for by simply stopping into any Madison area Hallman Lindsay location. The team at Hallman Lindsay will help pair you with the best pro for the job. And Hallman Lindsay is the one paint you can trust to withstand the challenges of Wisconsin's weather year-round. That's what makes it Wisconsin's best paint. Hallman Lindsay, great paint, great people. Check them out at hallmanlindsay.com. And stick around for Feel Good Friday coming up to close out this edition of Wilde and Tausch, painted by Hallman Lindsay Paints.
Rah. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Pablo Iglesias.
This Badger Minute brought to you by your Badgerland Chevy dealers, proud supporters of Badger Athletics. Go to BadgerlandChevy.com. 8 years since Wisconsin men's basketball reached the NCAA tournament's second weekend, while in football, 8 years since the program has won a New Year's Six bowl game. Program's hungry to fight for a title, but is it realistically in the cards? Brad Nortman with his perspective during Wilde and Tausch.
There are moments where it feels like you're close, but taken holistically, those look like blips. I think in order to win a championship, you have to consistently be that team, because there's other teams that are just as talented, if not more talented. So you have to be able to have so many opportunities to win a national championship, and then the stars align when you do it.
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get windows as low as $22 per month and doors as low as $89 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today.
All day, every day, the Carbless Talk and Text line is open for you. 844-770-3776. The Carbless Talk and Text line. This is more.
Matt Hamilton here. As a proud Wisconsinite, I'm all about supporting local. And there's nothing more local than Metcalf's Market. Metcalf's Rewards is your key to incredible savings. With thousands of coupons available every week, loyal members enjoy special pricing on select sale items. Plus, it's free to join. And when you sign up in-store using your phone number, new members instantly receive 500 points, equivalent to $5 off your purchase. Visit Metcalf's Market in Hilldale, near Westtown Mall, or in Wauwatosa today. And start saving with Metcalf's Rewards. Metcalf's Market. Bring local home.
Look what we have here. It's the refreshing deliciousness of a Pepsi mini can. It's the perfect complement to any meal. The dash of indulgence your day was dreaming of. The sip that'll have you singing Pepsi.
Nope, not again, Steve. Let's take a cue from the Pepsi mini can and pack all that awesomeness you're feeling into a much smaller treat for everyone. Deal?
So, big awesomeness, smaller size. I think I've got just the thing.
Pepsi mini can. Mini can, big taste.
Ben Brust here to tell you about why your next work van should be from Mercedes-Benz Sprinter at Zimbrick European. First off, we have versatility. The Sprinter vans offer 16 body types and thousands of ways to customize that space. Number 2, we have reliability. Sprinter's most powerful diesel engines last longer and require less maintenance, spend more time on the road and less time in those bays. Number 3, we have safety. Sprinter's safety technologies include curtain airbags all around, load adaptive electronic stability program, and crosswind and attention assist. Number 4, Van Care Mobile. Our maintenance team can come to you with routine service. Who wants to go in? Let them come to you. They work with multiple trucks on one visit. Use the Mercedes Me Connect. And last but not least, get your Zimbrick Sprinter at Zimbrick European at Rimrock Road and the Beltline, or go online at ZimbrickEuropean.com because they never charge over the MSRP.
Wilde and Tausch on 100.5 ESPN is brought to you by Everlight Solar. Save money, save the planet. Everlight Solar.
I say go, baby, go, go, go. Oh, I say go till you can't go. No more, no more. I say go, baby, go, go, go. I've been to a place where the drifters go. It brought me trouble, yeah, it brought me low.
Let's play some trivia. And not only is it special that Joe Thomas will be asking question number 2, but it's always special when we have a first-time contestant. Let's welcome in Sean and Madison. Sean, good morning. Welcome to Trivia. How you doing
Good morning.
today?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. It's 70 and sunny out. Let's go.
Well, and you've got Joe Thomas asking you a question. What more could you ask for?
You
All right.
know you're in Wisconsin
right?
when you comment on the weather first.
You gotta. That's right.
I love it.
Let's
A man
go.
after my own heart. Let's go.
And when it was 31 degrees yesterday. All right, so question number 1. The category, as Jesse has already told you, is name the city of that NFL draft. Question number 1 is this. The host site for the 2022 NFL Draft was originally set to host the event in 2020 until it was postponed due to COVID. It's also
Vegas. Oh, sorry.
Wow. No, we love it when you do that. We're perfectly
I
fine.
mean, yeah, I just wanted to save you. Yeah, I wanted to save you some time. Vegas all the way. Yeah, I remember that.
1 for 1 for Sean. All right. Question 2, Joe.
Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones were all quarterbacks selected in the first round of this draft. But for many breaking news hours before the draft that Aaron Rodgers was interested in being traded by the Packers stole the show. Name the city of that NFL draft.
Oh, is it Kansas City?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. It broke up.
You can give them the 3 options that are available there. That works.
Sorry.
He's doing what Tausch is. It has a multiple choice.
Sorry.
You're new.
I'm new to the
Sean's
show here. I'm
new.
just a cousin sub of the day here. My bad. We're all first-timers here.
Thanks for your patience.
Yes, sir. So your options are not Kansas City, or Detroit, Cleveland, or New York City.
Gosh, let's go Detroit. It's Detroit or Cleveland. No, Cleveland.
Sorry, what's the final answer?
Cleveland.
Speaking of being a servant of others, he basically served him right into the correct answer.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Much love, my man.
All right, Sean, question 3, and you will get no help from me on this.
Joe will be serving a 1-question suspension for conduct detrimental
I'm the
to
teacher
trivia.
you wanted in geometry class, let me tell you.
Since the NFL draft, Sean, since the NFL draft stopped being held annually in New York City in 2014, this is the only city that has hosted the event multiple times. Name the city of those NFL drafts. Is it Philadelphia, Nashville, or Chicago?
Chicago.
Back to back when they started moving it around. All right, Sean, with a little help from your Hall of Fame friends, you got all 3 right. That means you've got 4 entries into the drawing, which Jesse will forget to do later in the show. Thanks for playing, buddy. We appreciate you.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. You guys have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. Love listening to you.
That is
Love you
Wilde and
guys.
Tausch trivia. Jesse, as the arbiter and as Joe Thomas's boss, are you going to have some protests? Are there going to be some issues here with the slight helping hand that Sean got on question 2?
If I am a contestant who played Monday through Thursday, I might be a little peeved with the conduct during this session of trivia.
To be fair, that was my fault because I didn't give him the multiple choice because the notes I had were bulleted instead of multiple choice. So I thought it was merely giving me the ability to give a few hints along the way, but that was completely my fault. However,
It's an interesting interpretation.
Typically in the courtroom, he's the boss, which makes him the judge. Yeah. But I am the jury. So we decide here in this courtroom.
And I'm the executioner. That's the end of trivia.
Oh, baby.
What I would ultimately say is Justin Garcia, Brad Nortman, and our other cousin subs of the day also could have provided hints if they wanted to for their single days that they filled in on the show. So
But they chose not to, so
They
it's their
just
fault.
don't love the fans as much as I do. I guess that's the moral of this story.
All right, well, we love having you. Joe Thomas is our cousin sub of the day. We will kick off the 10 o'clock hour. Not as late as we do normally, but we will still start it late. Next, it's Wilde and Tausch.
Don't go anywhere. Another hour of Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, is coming up next on ESPN Wisconsin, the ESPN app, and Wisconsin On Demand.
Mark Tauscher here to tell you a little bit more about Everlight Solar. We all know that electricity costs are on the rise. That's why you need to talk to my friends over at Everlight Solar. Their local team here in Madison is here to keep it simple. From your no-cost consultation to solar panel installation, the team at Everlight Solar will be with you every step of the way. Not only will they help you save money, but by switching to solar, you're also helping save the planet. Everlight Solar, a proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics. Check them out at everlightsolar.com.
This is Derek Engler. You're listening to a Good Karma Brands radio station, 100.5 ESPN WTLX Monona, Madison.
Broadcasting live from the Everlight Solar Studio, this is your Metro Kia of Madison Sports Center.
Good morning, Madison and streamers everywhere. I'm Jesse Nelson, Sports Center, brought to you by Goodman's Jewelers, the Diamond Store, Madison for generations. Check them out, 220 State Street and online at goodmansjewelers.com. Madison's new home of the Milwaukee Brewers, resulting opening day in a Brewers loss in the Bronx. 4-2, the Yankees defeat the Brewers on opening day yesterday. First home run of the season for the Brewers belongs to Vinny Capra, a solo shot early in the game. Got interesting in the ninth inning against former Brewers closer Devin Williams for the Yankees, but ultimately New York does prevail. The Brewers 0-1 to begin the season. No game today. That's what teams without roofs have to do for opening day series. So game 2 of the season tomorrow afternoon at Yankee Stadium, 12:05 first pitch for the Brewers and Yankees. Pre-game coverage starts at 11:30 right here on Madison's new home of the Brewers, 100.5 ESPN. We're also Madison's home of the Bucks, and tonight, Milwaukee long overdue to return to Fiserv Forum after a long West Coast road trip. The Bucks host the New York Knicks tonight. Tip time set for 7 o'clock. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:30 here on 100.5 ESPN. ESPN bet lists the Bucks as 1.5-point underdogs for tonight's game.
Metro Kia of Madison, Madison's trusted Kia dealer. Stop into Metro Kia on the east side of Madison or metrokiaofmadison.com.
The 10 o'clock hour of Wilde and Tausch with Joe Thomas in as our cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe in better. Joe, we spent some time in the first hour talking about your incredibly fulfilling but ultimately non-championship, non-playoff NFL career. How much of that was related to the fact that despite their best efforts, the Browns never solved the quarterback piece of the puzzle? And how much does that decide whether a great offensive lineman or a great running back or a great player at any other position gets to win a Super Bowl?
Solely. Name the last team that's won a Super Bowl with an average quarterback. Baltimore, Trent Dilfer?
Yeah.
Maybe?
I was going to say Brad Johnson,
Brad
right?
Johnson.
Carson
He's the one
Wentz.
who always comes up.
Philadelphia, Carson Wentz, Nick Foles.
Carson Wentz played really well for most of that year.
He was an MVP that year. Yeah, so Nick Foles, you wouldn't say he was a great quarterback. During the playoffs that year, he was really great.
He was that
year.
year.
He outplayed Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. So I guess there are paths to win a Super Bowl. You're never going to win multiple Super Bowls unless you have a great quarterback because it's too hard to keep together great defenses. You know, they talked about Baltimore. That defense is one of the greatest of all time. You know, that's right up there with the 85 Bears. You talk about Tampa Bay with that Tampa 2 team. Like they had one of the great difficult defenses of all time as well. I mean, they didn't have great quarterback play, but they were good and sound on offense, and they could still score. But if you don't have a guy that's at least good and the greatest defense of all time, you're just not going to win it all, right? You can win a couple games in the playoffs, but eventually you're going to run into a bad matchup, and the playoffs are all matchup driven. And when you have a harder matchup for your team, however your makeup is and whatever you do well and whatever your weaknesses are, like, it's probably going to be a close game, and it's going to come down to what we've seen Patrick Mahomes do so magically since he's gotten to the NFL. It's like, okay, how much time do we have? What do we need? I'm going to take up all that time on the clock and get what we need, and you can't stop us. And when you have that guy, it forces the other team to play their games differently because they're like, oh, crap, we can't give the ball back. I think back to when Brady and Manning were having those great back-and-forth battles like every year in the playoffs, and this was before everybody went for it on fourth down, and it was 4th and like 3, and New England was backed up on their own 25-yard line. And they went for it, and people couldn't believe it because if they didn't get the first down, the game was over. But if they punted, they could still play defense on Peyton Manning, get the ball back, and score. But Bill Belichick wisely realized, like, look, if we give the ball to Peyton, it's a loss anyway. Like, yeah, there's theoretically a chance our defense could stop him, but it's not going to happen. So we're better off to go for it on 4th and short because we got a much greater chance of keeping the ball and not giving it back to Peyton Manning. And so when you have that guy on the other side, it forces the other team to play so differently and out of their comfort zone and take risks that they don't normally have to take. And when you look at a long playoff run that takes it to win a Super Bowl, like, you just have to have that guy in your pocket. And if you don't have that position solved, you have no chance. And that's why the Browns foolishly made the decision to bring in Deshaun Watson and give him that contract. In hindsight, obviously, terrible contract, terrible deal, but they knew that if we want to win, we've got a win now team. We've got to have that quarterback, and if we don't, we're just squandering the careers of all these guys that are out there.
When they made that trade, because that, again, to your point, underscores that if you don't have that guy, you will do pretty much anything, including with the question marks with his character and what was going on off the field with him, and then to guarantee every dollar of his contract. As someone who cares about the Browns, when they made that move, did you think, I don't know about this. This feels like a mistake. Or did you get your hopes up because that's what quarterbacks do for fans and supporters of the team is, oh, we got the guy. It's going to happen. Finally. It's going to happen. There may be a little ickiness to this, but we got the guy. How did you look at it then? Because obviously now it looks like a colossal mistake.
Jason, you probably experienced this living in the sports world, and that's like who you are, right? And so you're dialed in as an insider, and if you wake up and you've got like 120 text messages, you know something big happened with the Packers overnight. Yep. And I was in Florida with my family on spring break, and I woke up in the morning, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, went to go get my coffee, opened my phone up, and I had like 120 text messages. I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? And I knew Deshaun was making a decision about that time, but at the time, like, Atlanta was making a big play for him. I'm trying to remember the other team that was making a big play, but there was 4 teams that were there, like, working really, really hard. Miami, I think, was in there. Of course, all these teams now deny that they were ever in the mix because nobody wants any fingerprints on Deshaun Watson in that contract. But at the time, there was a bunch of teams that really wanted him because they were thinking the same thing the Browns would. And the Browns were the only team that were willing to guarantee the contract, so they got him. And so, like all of the fan base in Cleveland, like, the only reason you're still a Browns fan is if you're an optimist. If you somehow are connecting the dots and telling yourself, convincing yourself that this was a good move, they did the right thing in the draft, we're going to win a Super Bowl, right? Because if you can't convince yourself of that, you're probably not going to watch, and you're not going to care, you're not going to be a fan anymore. So it's ingrained into your brain as a fan to, like, find a way to paint this as a beautiful, rosy picture. But with that free agent signing or that trade, like, you were still conflicted, obviously, and a lot of it was because of the off-the-field character problems and legal issues that he was into. And there was obviously a lot of unknown in that point. And I remember working the Browns training camp that year, and it's a hard position to be in when you're working the Browns radio show as one of the Browns hosts, and you're talking about this constantly every day. And there was news every single day from the NFL because at that point when they signed him, they had done their own research and tried to figure out, okay, what is the validity of all of these accusations? Where is the NFL going to take a stance on this? And they truly believed it was not as bad as what ended up coming out, and that his suspension was not going to be as significant. And they were shocked when the suspension came down the way it did. And so I think at the time you were able to paint that rosy picture, but you were still very conflicted and you didn't know how to explain it to anybody. I remember my son, huge Browns fan. We were going to the Browns games and he's like, Dad, I want a jersey, because we usually get him a Browns jersey every year when we're going to the games. He's like, I want a Deshaun Watson jersey. He's like 4. And I'm like, Annie, how do we have this conversation with him? And she's like, let's just say they're all sold out. I'm like, that's a great answer. Sorry, buddy, they're all sold out. Why don't we get a Myles Garrett jersey? And thankfully as a 4-year-old, they got a memory like an old offensive lineman. It was gone by the end of that meal. So it was a weird time. And obviously in hindsight, there's not anybody that says, oh, yeah, that was a good decision.
Well, I'm guessing there's plenty of Deshaun Watson jerseys at the Goodwills in
less
Cleveland.
than $6, even cheaper than the Tauscher and Thomas jerseys you can pick up at Goodwill.
All right. The reason I ask about this is because I want to get into the quarterback conversation next, and obviously the Aaron Rodgers piece is still out there. I understand that some folks get frustrated when we talk about him, so I don't want to make it about him. I want to make it more about how you view Jordan Love for the Packers and how you view the carousel that has been spinning all offseason with a host of different teams getting new quarterbacks. It started with the Geno Smith trade to Vegas, and it has just kept on spinning. So we'll get to that coming up with Joe Thomas, who is in as our cousin sub of the day. I want to remind you that Tausch is scheduled to reappear on Monday, just in time for opening day. So it's time to not only welcome back the big fella, but also to get your tailgate grills out and grab your groceries, because opening day in Milwaukee is almost here. That's right, it is on Monday. The unofficial start to summer happens with the Brewers home opener, and ESPN Wisconsin will be all over it, sponsored by Carbless, ready-to-drink cocktails. Live shows from inside the ballpark, special guests all day, and an unmatched excitement for the crew as ESPN Wisconsin will carry every pitch of the home opener. Opening day on ESPN Wisconsin is sponsored by Carbless. Grab a pack today and be the MVP of your tailgate. More with Joe Thomas as our cousin sub of the day. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Call Gina Della from Pella today, 855-PELLA-WI, and online at PellaWI.com/radio.
Hey, it's Jesse Nelson, and we're talking a lot about the draft coming up in Green Bay. And when we're talking about the draft, you're also going to want to have a Pepsi or Pepsi Zero Sugar in hand come draft time. Pepsi, proud partner of the NFL and the NFL Draft with the first overall pick. Pepsi selecting Pepsi Zero Sugar. Height 4.8 inches, weight 12 ounces. 0 calories, the most impressive stat for Pepsi Zero Sugar. 0 sugar, 0 calories, and all the great taste of Pepsi. Pepsi is bringing back the Pepsi Challenge for the NFL Draft. How fun is that going to be? Everybody loves the Pepsi Challenge. Check it out, the NFL experience, and put your taste buds to the test with the Pepsi Challenge. And not only do we encourage you to have Pepsi and Pepsi Zero Sugar, perfect for any tailgate if you're getting ready for baseball on Monday afternoon in Milwaukee, if you're getting ready for the draft in Green Bay in a couple of weeks, but also Pepsi's a proud partner of the Wisconsin Badgers. Check them out. Pepsi and Pepsi Zero Sugar, the perfect tailgate mixer. Try one today.
Hold your friends close and your rivals closer on Jim, Matt, and Molly.
And we've been doing this for 30 years. And here's the thing, Grandma might have made apple pie for the past 60 years of her life. That doesn't mean Grandma's apple pie recipe is any good. Goody needs to fight nostalgia, fight the thought that we just should draft the best players available as opposed to drafting guys who fit a really good scheme.
Jim, Matt, and Molly, presented by Coors Light. Weekdays 4 to 6 on 100.5 ESPN.
Hey football fans, Verizon is giving you the chance to win the ultimate draft experience with the Road to the Draft sweepstakes. 10 lucky winners will win tickets for the first day of the 2025 draft in Green Bay, including round-trip car service from Milwaukee, hotel accommodations, plus access to the Verizon viewing zone where you'll be taken care of like a first-round pick. Don't miss your chance to win the ultimate draft experience powered by Verizon. Hurry to select Wisconsin Verizon locations to enter by April 13th. No purchase necessary to enter. Must be legal U.S. resident of Wisconsin or Illinois. Age 21 years or older. Void where prohibited. For official rules and full details, visit www.espnwisconsincontest.com.
To those who've ever dreamt of their perfect event, those dreams are worthy and they are possible. Hi, it's Jeffrey from Celebrations Entertainment. With hard work, passion, and great music, we will make your event dreams a reality. Every event is a labor of love with one-on-one planning, customization, and flawless execution. Bringing your event to life is what we do. For a fun, memorable event, visit celebrationsentertainment.com. That's celebrationsentertainment.com.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscher here for Kohler Services. Well, if you've been putting off your bath or shower remodel, now is the time to turn to Kohler Service. Family owned for 150 years, Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer providing care for life. And this month only, get $1,000 off your Lugstone shower remodel and no payment financing until 2026. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote. With fast, professional installation always included. Again, that's KohlerServicesWI.com.
Welcome to the Chevy Lightning Round. Guess the clues to win. First team, you're up.
Powerful, commanding, unstoppable.
Silverado.
Adventurous, fun, techie.
Trailblazer.
Stylish, nimble.
Trax.
Innovative, electric.
Blazer EV. Lightning Round champions. You've guessed all the right Chevy clues.
Wherever the year takes you, explore it together in the Chevy of your choice. See your Badgerland Chevy dealer today.
Introducing the newest carbless flavor, Mango Vodka. Flavored with the essence of the ripest, freshest mangoes, carbless mango vodka will transport your taste buds to a sunny beach getaway. New flavor, still the same carbless crafted cocktails with 0 carbs, 0 sugars, and only 100 calories. Enjoy a refreshing vodka cocktail without the guilt. 4 packs of the new carbless mango vodka cocktail are available in stores near you. Find your bliss today at drinkcarbless.com and escape with every sip.
Welcome to the 2025 NFL Draft on ESPN Radio.
The NFL Draft is now underway.
Live from historic Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
With the first pick.
Thursday, April 24th on ESPN Radio, ESPN, and on ABC.
Give me one reason to steer, and I'll turn right back around. You can see me turning. Give me one reason to steer, and I'll turn right back.
Continuing with Joe Thomas as our cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe in better. Hey, Jesse, speaking of cousin subs, when are we going to make our big announcement of how they've become involved in a crucial piece of our program?
That announcement will be coming in a little while, I would say. A little while.
Spoiler alert?
Couple of
Just
fun announcements coming up about a significant part of our show that regularly occurs that Joe Thomas may have tried to compromise a little bit earlier today.
Don't tell him what else we got going on there, or he's going to tell everybody early too. So Jesse, bring us up to speed on the NFL quarterback carousel, because it's been spinning pretty good.
I was thinking about this as we were going to get into this. That's why I started writing it out a little bit. There's been a lot of movement this offseason. So Geno Smith was like the first domino. Geno Smith was traded to the Las Vegas Raiders from Seattle to the Raiders. Then Sam Darnold went from the Vikings to the Seahawks. As of now, J.J. McCarthy is slated to become QB1 for the Minnesota Vikings, although speculation continues on that this week after their GM just didn't entirely rule out Aaron Rodgers coming to Minnesota. More on him in a minute. Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson both signed with the New York Giants. Justin Fields is QB1 with the New York Jets, replacing Aaron Rodgers. Daniel Jones is the veteran the Colts brought in to compete with Anthony Richardson. Kirk Cousins remains with the Atlanta Falcons after speculation he'd be on the move. Kenny Pickett signed with the Cleveland Browns after backing up Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia last year. And the Steelers have Mason Rudolph. And that's it on their roster as of right now. And Aaron Rodgers, of course, remains a free agent amid all the rest of that going on around the National Football League. That, a recap of the last month and a half of the quarterback carousel in the National Football League.
Joel, what does that tell you?
What that tells me is it just confirms the things that everybody's been saying about this draft class quarterback options, that it's just not that strong, because all those teams you talked about that are signing these journeyman veteran quarterbacks that are they're okay, or some of these young guys that maybe didn't work out, like Daniel Jones in New York with the Giants, now going to Indy. Like, these are teams that realize, hey, even if we bundled picks together and moved up in the draft, there's nobody that's worth it to do that. Mm-hmm. And so when you don't have a lot of teams that are really excited about quarterbacks to move up and get their guy, what you end up getting is the teams at the top that still need the quarterback. They can't trade back to get out of it. And all of a sudden there becomes more value to take a chance on one of those top two guys, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, even if you don't have full conviction, because it's like the value of one or two is probably to take a quarterback. You need a quarterback, and really there's nobody else that you can bring in that could match the potential upside of what a Cam Ward or a Shedeur Sanders could give you if they become a franchise quarterback. So those guys take those players that are at the top of the draft that they need quarterback, and then everyone else just kind of sits put and then stands put. And then you get these veterans that come in that kind of compete, and really they're just kind of placeholders for the next season to see what happens for those teams, where if you're in management, you're thinking, if I'm the Raiders, I'm going, okay, if we bring in Geno Smith, he's going to be good enough to hopefully start building the culture, hopefully win us a few games, get the fans somewhat interested so that they continue to show up. But we don't believe he's their long-term answer at quarterback. He's not a guy that's going to win us a bunch of games and take us to a Super Bowl, but you got to do something, right? It's like you can't ditch your quarterback and go be single. You got to find somebody to play that position. It's kind of important, so you got to bring somebody in, and that's what you're seeing. But I'd say there's two things that have surprised me. One, I really thought Russell Wilson was going to go to the Steelers, because to me, Russell's at the point in his career where he's made plenty of money. He doesn't need to go chase a big contract. He is looking for legacy. That's the play that he's trying to make in his career right now, what I would assume. And the Steelers have a great defense. They've got a great organization. And Russell could continue to build on, what he could build with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the legacy that he started, even though, last season he was up and down a little bit, but I think maybe year two he could have convinced himself that, me for the Steelers. I think year two in the system, they'd know me better. I'd know them better. We'd have a little bit more of an opportunity to improve. But I think what that says is the Steelers were not happy with Russell Wilson, and they think they're going to get Aaron Rodgers.
So they end up moving on from both of those guys that they had at quarterback, as they allow Justin Fields to depart in free agency. He joins the Jets, which I don't see how that makes them any better. But again, when you don't have that guy, that's what you do. When you look at the Packers and Jordan Love, I think Tausch and I have both admitted that we were guilty of prematurely crowning him after what he did during the second half of 2023. That does not mean that he's not a good quarterback. I firmly believe that he is. Is he going to eventually be a great quarterback? I think we assumed that he was going to be. And then we realized, okay, maybe that was a little bit too much too fast. When you look at him as a fan and as someone who played the game and who played with plenty of quarterbacks that were not great, I'm curious how you see him and how critical this year is for him in year three as a starter.
Well, I think it's huge, because if you want to be a franchise quarterback, you want to be a quarterback that your fan base and your team can believe in, you got to be great down the stretch in December. And like you mentioned, he was the year before. And that's why I think everybody was so excited, because they saw the trajectory heading up and to the right, and everybody was thinking, you know what, this is finally the quarterback that we thought we were going to get when we drafted him, even though we had Aaron Rodgers still in place. And he faltered down the stretch last season, even though he started fairly well once he got back from that injury that he had after week one. And I think it was frustrating to not see that continued trajectory up and to the right where you're thinking that, yes, this is the guy that's taken that next step. And so it's not unusual for quarterbacks in the NFL, especially today's NFL. There's so much for those guys to learn and to think about and to process. And there's so many variables that go into how he's performing, like, hey, who do you have a wide receiver? Who's available? Who's playing well? And I think that hurt Aaron Rodgers down the stretch a little bit. Jordan Love. But you still want to see that steady play, that steady improvement, and he didn't get it from him. And so that just makes the stakes that much higher this season because they still have a young roster. They're still very talented across the board. I think by and large, the fan base still wants to believe in you, but you can't have a stumble down the stretch like he had last season. You're going to have to continue to build on what he did 2 years ago and show that some of the weaknesses you had that teams took advantage of, now you've corrected those things, and now you're taking that next leap forward where you are kind of bulletproof and you've got all those tools in your tool belt to be able to beat anybody in any way that you have to. And for him, that's the next step.
Well, we will see if he makes that jump, and there are a lot of other guys around him that need to make jumps as well. You know, for as much as we say that it's the primary reason for postseason success and winning Super Bowls, and you know, I know you would never disparage your quarterback teammates, but you never had the great quarterback. You never did have that during your time. Jordan Love does need help. He can't just be – he's not at the point in his career yet where he is Patrick Mahomes and he is carrying this team. And so not only does he have to make a jump in 2025, but so do Dontavion Wicks and Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs and whatever their reconstituted offensive line will look like. And Tucker Kraft, even though he's been really good, and Luke Musgrave, who has missed a lot of time. But there's a lot – and quite frankly, Matt LaFleur as well in terms of what he does game planning-wise. I do want to get to something else with you related to them, and that is we peppered LaFleur with questions about how great Josh Jacobs was, but how it might have cost them in terms of their play-action game. And I remember, because you are so well-versed in the Shanahan style of offense, talking to you early on in 2019 when he got the job about how valuable the play-action piece is to what a team does offensively, and they just weren't that last year. So I want to get into that with you coming up. Also, we're taking questions from the Carbless Talk and text line, from the YouTube chat. If you had now, hopefully we'll get to more of your questions than we did when Jesse and I did questions for me, and we got to like 3 of them. People were not pleased with that, so
they
Jesse,
were good questions, the ones we got to, though.
Yeah,
best
but
of the best.
I would say that there were a few folks that were a little peeved at us that we sold them something of a bill of goods, that we were going to do a Q&A, and then we did a very little Q and very limited A's for people. So we will aim to do better with that. Today is the 28th of March, which I think Tausch would claim makes it the Ides of March.
The Ides, yeah.
It's not true. It also means that it's the eve of Thanalysis Live. Grubeloff's Thanalysis Live is tomorrow at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Jesse, you want to give away a few more tickets before our week is out?
Last chance. 2 winners. 2 groups of 4.
2
Chance,
4-packs?
2 4-packs to go to Thanalysis Live tomorrow night at Potawatomi. Yep.
All right. Well, we will take caller 7 and caller 3 in honor of Joe Thomas, number 73. I love that story about you not paying $10,000 for 72.
It's a lot of money. I don't care who you are. And I didn't need that number that bad.
So caller 7 and caller 3 right now, you will win 4 packs of tickets each to Thanalysis Live. Gruber Law Offices, Thanalysis Live. It is tomorrow night at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Join Thanalysis, and for a live show that will entertain you like none other. Last year, Thanasis brought along his brother Giannis, but he also brought along Stephen A. Smith. So you never know what Thanasis might have planned for tomorrow night. And if you don't win tickets now, There's still ways to get tickets, including by going to the ESPN Milwaukee and ESPN Madison social media channels to get the event and ticket information. Excitement and entertainment you can't get anywhere else. It's Gruber Law Offices, Thanalysis Live, presented by Potawatomi Casino Hotel and Carbless, also supported by the Prisoner Wine Company and McDonald's. Callers 3 and 7, or 7 and 3, right now, each win 4 tickets to Thanalysis Live, courtesy of McDonald's. More with Joe Thomas, our cousin sub of the day. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, driven by Zimbrick Chevrolet in Sun Prairie on 100.5 ESPN. See their full inventory at ZimbrickChevrolet.com.
Being a Pella consultant means helping people build their dreams.
Customers really appreciate just how prepared we are. All the samples, the videos, pictures.
We are with you from start to finish. You literally have a friend from beginning to end and beyond with your project.
Our Pella team simplifies the process, taking time to listen and find the right solution for you. And right now, get windows as low as $22 per month and doors as low as $89 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 3/31/2025.
When it comes to security for your home and family, you want a winner, and we found one when we placed our trust with J&K Security Solutions. This is Greg Gard. Kim and Jeff hit the game-winning shot for us with the Control 4 home technology system. Home or away, from our smartphones, we can open the garage door, dim the lights, turn on the TV, as well as arm the security system. That's convenience as well as peace of mind. Let J&K Security Solutions do for your home or business like they've done for us. Call 255-5799 or online at jksecurity.com.
Ben Brust here to tell you about the Princeton Club. If you're looking for a place where you can better yourself while having a wonderful atmosphere, you have it at the Princeton Club. Strong communities, strong body, and strong mind. All it takes is one small step to start today. You will see that you have everything you need in order to achieve all of your goals. Find your better tomorrow at the Princeton Club. 8 Madison locations where you go in there, you take a tour, and you realize this is a place for me. Find more at PrincetonClub.net.
Mark Tauscher here for Pizza Hut. Well, this time of year, it feels like every day is a big game day, and you need a winning pizza lineup to celebrate. Pepperoni, sausage and mushrooms, or ham, pineapple, and bacon? Well, the choice is yours. And right now, you get a large 3-topping original stuffed crust pizza for just $11.99 at Pizza Hut. Available for delivery or carryout, you can create your perfect pizza no matter the game plan for just $11.99. Order now on the Pizza Hut app or online at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Madison athletes seeking elite training need to get started today at Total Athlete Performance. TAP is here to serve and educate the serious athlete with their speed, agility, and semi-private training options. Sessions are now available in both Windsor and their TAP facility inside the Verona Athletic Center. Also access remote training anytime, anywhere with the Total Athlete Performance app. Visit tapwisconsin.com for subscriptions, including monthly payment options. That's tapwisconsin.com.
You're only minutes away from a better buying experience at Simden Chevy in Mount Horeb. Jim Rutledge here. What is a better buying experience? Well, that's the thing. You get to define it. It is the experience that is customized to you. What experience do you want at a car dealership? They can be your trusted friend or your trusted expert. So if you're in the market for a new or new-to-you Silverado, Colorado, Blazer, Trailblazer, remember, you're only minutes away from a better buying experience. And that's at Simden Chevy in Mount Horeb.
Starion Bank redefines local banking in Madison. As a community bank with a commitment to Dane County, experience a banking relationship where your goals are our priority. Enjoy competitive deposit and loan rates and a partnership that thrives on local engagement and support. Starion Bank is more than a full-service financial institution. It's a community pillar dedicated to your prosperity. Visit one of our convenient branches in Middleton, Monona, or Sun Prairie. Starion Bank, offering banking, lending, mortgage, and cash management.
Did you know that Wisconsin has a new, quick, and free online tax filing tool called IRS Direct File? Direct File is changing how people file their taxes and bringing more money into our state through the federal Earned Income Tax Credit and Child Tax Credit. File your federal and state taxes online directly with the IRS from your smartphone or computer. On average, file in less than 1 hour. Available in English and Spanish. Visit directfile.irs.gov to see if you're eligible. Sponsored by United Way of Wisconsin.
On the air, on demand, on social, on Wisconsin Sports. Serving Wisconsin sports fans. This is 100.5 ESPN.
Continuing with Joe Thomas, our cousin sub of the day. For those that don't follow along on YouTube or on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it these days, I did post that terrific photo of you and your dad and you in your fluorescent pink. There's actually a story behind her your mom dressing you in bright highlighter-style colors.
I was a bit of a wild child, as you might imagine. A guy who ends up playing on the offensive line in the NFL, probably kind of crazy as a kid because you got to be a little crazy to play offensive line throughout your entire career. And so when I was a kid, I had some energy problems, like got kicked off the bus a couple times, not in like major trouble, but just had a hard time harnessing that energy, right? And so I got lost a few times, and I would just go. I was adventurous. I was always looking to, get outside and do something, get myself lost. And so my mom said that she would always go dress me in fluorescent colors when I go fishing with my dad in case I fell overboard, which she clearly was predicting. She said that if I fell overboard, then you'd be easier to find as somebody who was trying to fish you out of the water. So my mom was always thinking ahead, knowing that I was going to get lost. I was going to fall in the water, out of the boat. I was going to find myself in compromising positions, and we needed to have an exit strategy. So she could have been a Navy SEAL because clearly she had plan A, B, C, and D when I was going out with my dad.
So do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I've got a younger brother and a younger sister.
So were they much calmer and more did your mom have to worry about them as much as she worried about you?
I think she was so busy worrying about me that she didn't pay any attention to them. But part of that might be I was the firstborn, so like you get a little bit more attention. But I was definitely a full-time job. And my sister's 8 years younger. My brother is 4 years younger. So my sister was there was a big span between us. Mm-hmm. So I don't remember her much as a kid other than the fact that she was always screaming. They called her Jessie the Howler because she was just always screaming all the time. Even when happy, sad, angry, mad, just telling us about her day, like always yelling. So she had the energy as well. But I think I was really the one that you had to keep your thumb on because I was going to get in some trouble if you didn't.
Well, I'm sure she appreciates you bringing that up now. So you would have left for college when she was like a fifth grader. So that is a big span. Yeah, that's wild.
And she actually lives right down the street from me on the west side of Madison. And we're super close now. And her and my wife, Annie, are super close too. But like, I don't mean this in a bad way, but I just didn't really have much of a relationship with her because, she was so much younger than me.
Right.
And like when you're a boy, like the last thing you're thinking about is your younger sister. It's not like, oh, you're so cute. Like, you're worried about getting lost and going fishing and digging worms. And so I really didn't really have a super relationship with her until she got older. And then, I moved back to Madison. She lived in Madison, and now we're two peas in a pod.
So I want to, I always flash back to you and Matt Hasselbeck because we talked to Hass as well when they hired Matt LaFleur, and you both were so insightful about what we were going to expect, and then it was exactly what you told us, right? And so as I listened to Matt LaFleur late in the season, and this was the thing that jumped out at me more than anything, was when he uttered the phrase, we've got to win our one-on-one matchups to get open. And I thought, wait a minute, that's a Mike McCarthyism. You're the guy that has this brilliant offense that designs plays that gets guys so wide open that if you're watching on TV, there are times where the only person in the frame is the guy catching the ball. And there are no defenders to be found because you flummoxed them so much. So we started to dig a little bit deeper into it, and LaFleur was very elusive about this. Well, what do you define as play action? Because what you guys define it as might not be. Well, I define it as I can't tell from the offensive line's behavior or the quarterback's behavior if it's a run or a pass. And if it's just this token, empty-handed pretend, I'm handing you the ball even though the ball's in my other hand, I don't consider that play action either, Mike or Matt. So my question for you is, as you watched the Packers, and I know you spent a lengthy period of time in Germany, so your view of them was maybe limited, but it struck me and a lot of others as, hey, Josh Jacobs, great addition. Loves to run more of a duo-style blocking system, and also likes to run out of the shotgun more than I thought. Well, if you're in the shotgun, that means your play action game looks different. If you're running duo, it means your play action game looks different. How important is it for the Packers to get that back into their offense? How critical is that to this system working, Joe?
Two things real quick, and this is just inside baseball, but it is interesting he brought that up. You could tell he was frustrated because typically when you say the guy's got to win their one-on-one matchups, it's because you're frustrated because you feel like you put them in the right position and they didn't win. And, I don't love when coaches say that because it's kind of like, yeah, you're pointing the finger at me, and you never want to see that, right? As the leader, you always want to point the finger back at yourself.
Right.
But run action pass is technically what everybody calls play action. So when it's a run play that's blocked like a run play from an assignment standpoint but turns into be a pass, technically within the confines of an offensive meeting room and a playbook, you would call that run action pass. Play action is like the old school where you used to see where we'd call it like slide draw, where the quarterback drops back, he gives a little token draw fake to the running back, and then sets up in the pocket. Everybody else is pass protecting. So if you ever want to know the difference, that's what it is.
I'm
and
going to use that.
There you go.
So I want to say your run action pass game
that's right.
has not been what it used to be. What the hell's going on? And he'll be like, oh, my God, have you been talking to Joe Thomas?
He's going to go, what did you say? And everyone else in the room is going to go, what's a run action pass? But we actually used to code our plays in the playbook, wrap, pass. So run action pass or it would play action. So like there is a difference, but it's been married so well together over the years because colloquially everybody just calls, hey, if it's a pass that looks like a run, it's called play action. And so that's kind of where it's gone. But the other thing that people always mess up on the defense side of the ball is a dog versus a blitz. Do you know the difference, Jesse? I won't put Jason on the spot. I'll put Jesse on the spot.
I do not know the difference of those.
So, more insider baseball.
This is fun.
A dog is technically when a linebacker pressures, right? So it's not a blitz unless it's a secondary element. So your safeties, your cornerbacks. So in order to call it a blitz, it has to include a secondary element. So that's why when you see potentially, if you ever see this, like breakdowns where a defense gets broken down by like an offensive assistant or something, he'll say like, these are their dogs, these are their blitzes, and they're different. Even though that's another thing that, hey, if it's somebody besides the defensive line rushing the passer, it's called a blitz, right? That's what everybody says. But there is a difference when you are breaking them down. With that said, one of the things I thought LaFleur did the best last year as I was getting ready for their Saints Monday night game, which I called for Westwood One Radio, was Josh Jacobs, like you mentioned, he likes duo, he likes power, he likes those traditional guard pull type plays, which are a bit more difficult to marry with your play action or your run action, whatever you want to say. Because when you're pulling guys, now there's a gap on one side, and now you've added gaps on the other side, and it takes a lot more jumping through hoops to be able to pick everybody up. And that's why the Shanahan zone scheme was so good for your play action pass, is because everybody's just zoning off a player to the right or to the left for the most part, and you can pick up all their blitzes much easier than when you do pull players. And so your protection's a lot more sound, even though you get the same sell from the second level. But the problem is, if you're running like a power pass to the right, let's say, you're pulling your left guard, well, now there's a huge void, and now your guard is gone. Your center and your backside tackle have to cover basically three gaps. And so if that guard pulls and you are giving good run sell and that linebacker sucks up who's got that gap where the guard left and he keeps running, like you've got to now have two guys blocking three. And so it makes your protections weaker. But I thought LaFleur did a great job of figuring out ways, creative ways to make it difficult on a defense to still get into the run concepts out of the shotgun, to get your duos, to get your guard pull stuff that Josh Jacobs favored, while still marrying that and making it a safe protection scheme to throw the football down the field. Now, I think it bit him in the butt a little bit later in the season, and so there's no reason in my mind where Josh Jacobs can't run the outside zone. Like, it's, to me, it's just what he's comfortable with, what he's always done. And so if I were them, I wouldn't go away from what he has been great at, but I would make sure that you're emphasizing throughout the offseason and training camp some of those traditional outside zones with outside zone play actions working off of that. Because if you do get those teams that do have some automatic blitz or dog rules where, all right, you know, if I'm playing the Packers and I'm the backside linebacker and that guard pulls, I'm going to tell him to run through every time because I know that automatically gives him a problem. And so when you have these automatic blitz rules based on what the offense is doing to you, they can get in some trouble, and now it becomes a chess match up front, whereas it's a lot easier to pick up stuff on the run that are game plan specific blitzes from your defense if you're able to get into some more of those easy zone concepts. And it's one of those things where you go into the game and you say, all right, we're going to run the stuff we like best, but we're ready. If they have a game plan where they're just going to start firing people when we're pulling guards or we're getting into the shotgun, because it kind of limits some of the directions your runs have, right? Because your running back's offset now. It's harder for him to go back and run the other way that when he's offset. Like, okay, then let's just get in, like make it look one way, motion, and then get into some outside zone stuff and then hurt them there, because no matter what move the defense makes, there's a counter move that can beat them. You just got to be ready and comfortable to run that play.
So last question on this, because I love it when you and Bulaga are so good at this stuff, explaining those types of X's and O's things. So is it fair, though, to say that the run action game, the run action passes, see, I can learn, is one of the reasons. That's your,
my favorite.
It's your new favorite sound effect. Is it fair to say that is pivotal in the grand scheme of scheming guys open in the pass game? Like, is that one of the critical pieces of this offense, or am I putting too much emphasis on that part of it as being so important to getting guys open? Because I think we can all agree, watching this offense, that there were not as many instances of guys being wide open as there had been in past years in this system.
The reason why the Shanahan system has become so popular, most teams in the NFL run it, a vast majority of the head coaches come from that system, is because you don't need exceptional talent at the pass catcher position to be able to get guys open when you're running that scheme. And it's great to have great receivers that can win their one-on-one matchup all the time. You know, that was Mike McCarthy's thing, always like, hey, let's find our one-on-ones and then pick the guy that we like the best, get him the ball. Like, okay, that works great when you have a great quarterback and you got a great one-on-one guy. But this system allows you to have good receivers who play hard, who block hard, who are in the right spots, can still get open and catch passes, especially down the field, those deep throws, because they're schemed open with your run action pass, your play action pass, whatever you want to call it. And so I think if you aren't able to do that, well, then they need to significantly upgrade that receiver position, because they don't have that guy right now on the roster who can consistently win the one-on-ones in just your regular drop-back passing game. So they either need to, A, find a great receiver who can win those one-on-ones consistently, who can stay healthy and be on the field, or they need to sharpen up some of their play-action stuff and add a little bit more of the outside zone to their rushing concepts so that they can be comfortable moving into that if teams start trying to take away and scheme up their duo passes, their power passes, and some of those traditional run action passes that come off of the runs that Josh Jacobs really likes.
All right, I want to get into one last thing, NFL-wise and Packers-wise, in the 10 o'clock hour, and then I want to get to some Badger stuff with you in the NIL world in the 11 o'clock hour. Before we can do that, though, we need to hear from Tausch, who is a UW Credit Union member, although not as long as I've been a UW Credit Union member. He will tell us about that, and we'll have more with Joe Thomas next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
UW Credit Union member Mark Tauscher here. For every stage of life, UW Credit Union is here for every you. Proudly serving Wisconsin for over 90 years, they'll help you reach your financial goals. And if you're like me, you've always got cheddar on the mind. UW Credit Union can help with no monthly fee checking and great rates that let you keep more of your cheese. And when you're at that stage of life where you're ready to purchase a new home, UW Credit Union is your location for home loans. With UW Credit Union's local experts, a great loan at a great rate is never far from home. Join today at uwcu.org. That's uwcu.org. Insured by NCUA. Terms and conditions apply.
We're on the Brewers.
They're really good at identifying talent. They're really good at developing talent.
Because we're on Wisconsin sports.
This is one of the best organizations in Major League Baseball.
100.5 ESPN.
Mark Tauscher here for Zimbrick Chevrolet in Sun Prairie, the name you can trust. Well, it's the time of year when everybody is thinking about travel. Whether you're still finalizing details for a spring getaway or you're already on to thinking about where you'll be heading for a summer road trip, don't let vehicle maintenance be what slows you down. Make sure your vehicle is in its best shape possible every time you're getting ready to hit the road by stopping in to see the amazing service team at Zimbrick Chevrolet in Sun Prairie. Routine maintenance is critical for keeping your vehicle in the best shape possible. Oil changes, tire rotations, tune-ups, and so much more. Get it checked out before you hit the road so you're not stranded when you're away from home. And if you're in the market for a vehicle upgrade, check out Zimbrick Chevy's new and used vehicle inventory. You can start your search by logging on to ZimbrickChevrolet.com. Stop into Zimbrick Chevrolet on Main Street in Sun Prairie and discover this great automotive team I've been telling you about for years. Consistently recognized as a best of Madison operation, Zimbrick Chevrolet on Main Street in Sun Prairie. The name you can trust.
Rah. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Pablo Iglesias.
This Badger Minute is brought to you by Steinhoffels. Shop Beauty Rest Black mattresses at Steinhoffels. The new Beauty Rest Black is only $42 per month when you use Steinhoffels 60-month financing only at Steinhoffels. 8 years since Wisconsin men's basketball reached the NCAA tournament's second weekend, while in football, 8 years since the program has won a New Year's Six bowl game. Program's hungry to fight for a title, but is it realistically in the cards? Brad Norton with his perspective during Wilde and Tausch.
There are moments where it feels like you're close, but taken holistically, those look like blips. I think in order to win a championship, you have to consistently be that team. So you have to be able to have so many opportunities to win a national championship that then the stars align when you do it.
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get windows as low as $22 per month and doors as low as $89 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Your current car, soon to be your old car. A new car? Better start looking. But you've got this, just like Associated Bank's got you with free credit score and score monitoring on most new consumer checking accounts. Because when you know you need to make a big purchase, knowing your credit score puts you in the driver's seat. You've got this with free credit monitor from Associated Bank. See associatedbank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
Have you been waiting to buy your next home? Stop. Now is the time to get housed. What's up, Madison? It's Stacy from Bruner Realty. Nobody has a crystal ball to know what the future holds. The longer you wait to find your next home, the better the chance you'll be paying more for it than you would be today. Don't miss out on what could be the best opportunity to find your dream home. Contact our team at BrunerRealtyInc.com to help start your search. That's BrunerRealtyInc.com. Let's get housed.
Outside In. That's what we call our Outdoor Living Unlimited showroom at 2018 South Stoughton Road. All the cool stuff you want outside in your yard displayed inside. Patios, decks, pavers, and an automated pergola, fire pit, outdoor kitchen, a putting green, and in-ground pool. Even a converting 3-season room that's either outside or inside. We are Outdoor Living Unlimited. Your outdoor living potential awaits you at our Outside In showroom, 2018 South Stoughton Road. OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Professional volleyball is in full swing from here in Madison. Don't miss a second of the action. Cheer on Love Madison Volleyball as they make history with some of the best players in the world. Olympic medalists, NCAA All-Americans, and one of the most talented rookie classes ever. This is volleyball at its highest level. Experience the excitement yourself. Get your tickets today at lovb.com. Volleyball is the next major league.
We're on the Badgers.
It was successful, but also disappointing. That's just what this season was. I don't think any of us went into this season going, they're going to be a 3 seed. They're going to be really good this year. They're going to be competing for a Big Ten championship again.
This is 100.5 ESPN and Wisconsin On Demand.
Continuing with Joe Thomas as our cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe in better. All right, Joe. I don't expect Zach Tom. I don't expect Rasheed Walker to be getting to Hall of Fame jackets like you now own. But they have been their starters at tackle for the last couple of years now. One a 7th-round pick, one a 4th-round pick. We think Zach Tom is one of the better right tackles in the league. We think he's going to get a second contract. But they do have some question marks. They just paid a free agent guard and Aaron Banks a big number for a guard who has never been to a Pro Bowl. I am curious when you look at where the Packers are on the offensive line. Losing Josh Myers in free agency, or should I say not trying to keep Josh Myers in free agency based on the contract he got from the Jets, moving Elton Jenkins to center, signing Banks, and then having three other guys that are current starters, the two tackles and Sean Ryan, all in their final years of their contract. I always felt like continuity on the offensive line was awfully important. How do you look at where the Packers are on the offensive line right now?
Well, you mentioned there's obviously some changes that have happened, and you never like those changes, but today's era in the NFL, offensive linemen are hard to come by, and it's hard to keep those guys together. There's just not as many good offensive linemen in the NFL anymore because for a lot of reasons, but mainly they're just not being developed at the college level because college teams just aren't running a lot of pro-style schemes, and then you're not getting as many reps as we did when I was playing in the NFL with your offseason and then through training camp. And on top of that, you got defensive linemen that are spending their entire offseason trying to figure out how to beat you. And it's not as much about, controlling a gap on the defensive line anymore as it is, hey, let's rush the quarterback and get after the passer. So offensive linemen's jobs have, one, gotten harder, and they're also not being developed the same way that they used to. So they're not as good. And so I know if you're comparing where the Packers are right now to past offensive lines, I think back to when I was watching the Packers in the 90s and they were winning Super Bowls. And I was like, wow, it's the same offensive line almost every year. They're very solid. They're good. They've been playing together for a long time. And that's just not the reality of today's NFL. But I think when you put that aside and you compare what they have to other offensive lines in the NFL, I think they're in pretty good shape. And I think when you compare that with, you combine that with the offense that the Packers run with the run action pass, the play action pass, the running game, it makes the job of the offensive line a lot easier because the hardest thing an offensive lineman does is drop back pass block. And when you eliminate a lot of that, then they can hone in on the details of their footwork or their hand placement, their eye placement, the sell that they give in the run action pass. And that can make up for a lot of deficiencies that you have from a talent standpoint. And then how they play and how they mesh together becomes a lot more important than just their individual talents. Another reason why the Shanahan scheme has become so popular. And so I look at their tackles, Rasheed Walker, Zach Tom, those are very good tackles. I think most teams in the NFL are jealous of having those two dudes playing tackle. And if you have your tackle position nailed down, you're feeling really good about yourself because those are the guys that win and lose you games in the fourth quarter, in third down, critical situations in the game, because there's guys that one of those guys is probably going to get a one-on-one. Obviously, you need to have good interior players, but when you got three guys on the inside, two guards in a center, usually it's 3-on-2, and so a lot more of that is communication, making sure we're on the same page, who's getting the double team. And when you do have a great player, like let's say you got an Aaron Donald on the inside, like you can double team him with my eyes to the other gap to help if that other guard needs it. So you got a lot of different ways to be able to handle the inside guys, but just feeling good about the tackle position. Elton Jenkins is a great player, and I think on the offensive line, I've been a big believer since I was in colleges. I really don't care what position my guys play. I want the best 5 offensive linemen on the field. So I'm going to find a spot for them, and I don't care regardless of position where they're going to play. I just want them on the field. And then you have enough time through OTAs and training camp to get those guys on the same page. Would you love for them to play together for 4 or 5 years? Of course. But they got enough time to get on the same page. And as long as your tackles, you feel good about those guys, then those other guys can work in there together. And I think overall, Packers' offensive line is solid. However, I do think they really want to pick up somebody in the draft higher because their depth is a big question mark to me.
And we're all curious to see where Jordan Morgan's position is. Do they make him give him every opportunity to take the starting left tackle job away from Rasheed Walker? Do they try and find a spot for him inside temporarily and then let Walker walk, pardon the pun, in free agency? Lots of decisions to be made there. All right, we need to get to the 11 o'clock hour, during which Jesse, being the servant that he is going to give up Wonelli So we can do Q&As for Joe, but we want to start the 11 o'clock hour with a little bit of Badgers conversation and the landscape of NIL. We know that you've been involved in the process of improving the, I don't want to call it a war chest, but certainly an NIL chest of ways to get Wisconsin competitive in that realm. We'll talk to you about that when we kick off the 11 o'clock hour, which starts in 2 minutes. It's Wilde and Tausch.
Don't go anywhere. Another hour of Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, is coming up next on ESPN Wisconsin, the ESPN app, and Wisconsin On Demand.
Mark Tauscher here for one of my favorite places, Pizza Hut. From settling in at the opening tip to an extra slice during the 7th inning stretch, make the delicious options from Pizza Hut the perfect addition to any game day this time of year. Having the whole crew over to your place for the night, or getting home just in time on your own to see your team in action. Well, either way, Pizza Hut has you covered. Order the original stuffed crust pizza, the OG, the GOAT, the one and only. Others try to copy, but none are like Pizza Hut. Take advantage of this championship deal right now at Pizza Hut. You can get a large 3-topping stuffed crust pizza for just $11.99. Well, you know I've loved Pizza Hut going back to the days when I was a kid participating in their legendary Book It program. It was great then, and it's great making new memories with my family now. Hurry in or order online today at pizzahut.com. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
I'm giving CC a ride in a couple of weeks to the airports.
I'm nervous about it.
We realize
because he drives slow enough to drive Miss Daisy. Like when you're driving in New York City and there's that person that's doing 40 miles an hour in the far left lane that's not passing anyone, that's Evan Cohen, y'all.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekdays from 5 to 9 on 100.5 ESPN.
Since 1956, Holman Lindsay Paints has been making paint in Wisconsin for Wisconsin. Because of their commitment to making great paint for Wisconsinites, Holman Lindsay has grown over the years to 26 locations in this great state. Headquarters in Sun Prairie with a state-of-the-art facility, Holman Lindsay has the paint you need to make your job better. From do-it-yourself to professional, Holman Lindsay has paint for everyone. Visit one of their local locations today in Madison, Sun Prairie, Middleton, and Janesville.
Hi, this is Dave Kane. You're listening to Madison's Home of the Bucks, a good Karma brand radio station, 100.5 ESPN WTLX, Monona, Madison.
Sports Center updates on 100.5 ESPN are brought to you by Metro Kia of Madison. Metro Kia of Madison, Madison's trusted Kia dealer. Stop into Metro Kia on the east side of Madison or visit metrokiaofmadison.com.
The 11 o'clock hour of Wilde and Tausch, which will include some Q&As for the Pro Football Hall of Famer Joe Thomas. Hall of Fame beef. Got the bagels.
The teriyaki's good, too, from the beef sticks, just so everybody is aware.
Yeah, teriyaki at Cook's, as the kids say these days.
Jalapeno cheddar's up next.
Yeah, that's my favorite. The apple... whatever that one is.
Cheddar.
The apple cheddar, that's the kids' favorite. They get home from school immediately. Dad, can we get some of them Hall of Fame beef apple cheddar sticks? The answer is always yes, children, because I'm a wonderful father, and I'm a servant for your belly's needs.
It's amazing that they would go through the trouble of describing it as some of those Hall of Fame beef apple and cheddar sticks, that they wouldn't just say, Dad, I want some beef sticks.
No.
So
they
know how to brand things.
Yeah, they've grown up in a family of people that are marketing and branding as our living. And they know how to frame and phrase things to build the brand, okay?
You're sitting
Hashtag for the brand.
You're sitting in your gold jacket, in your recliner, and they all come and stand in line. Excuse me, Father, may I please have?
Yes. I didn't have a chance to do it yet, but my second oldest daughter, Cameron, is 10, and she thinks she's going to be an actress, which she might be, right? She is our most emotional by far. And so after school yesterday, we were just, shooting the breeze. I like just hanging out with them after they get home from school and messing with them. And they were asking for beef sticks, and she's like, "Dad, can we make an Instagram reel of how much we love these sticks?" And she wanted to write a script, so she thought she was going to have a Hollywood movie, and I was just filming her on my phone. But I was like, "I'll cut it up for you. I'll put it on there. Don't worry." So I'm excited to do that when I get home this afternoon and make my daughter proud, even though it's not going to be the best, but that'll be funny. Hopefully, people check it out. Six Springs Farms is the Instagram handle.
So we had Brian Bulaga earlier this week, and he was in the midst of Abby being gone for a few days. And so he was running the show. Now, we know, much like Kevin Durant once said of his mom, "You the real MVP," we know that Annie is the real MVP in your house. Have there been any recent instances of you being on your own and she took off with her girlfriends, or anything where you had to run the show? And if so, how did that go?
So Annie's very lucky because I love being at home with just the kids, because then who's the boss? Jesse's not the boss anymore. Yeah, Jesse's not the boss in my house when Annie's gone. So when Annie's gone, Annie's what I would say is a control enthusiast, maybe. Not freak, but an enthusiast. So when we're all home, Dad gets a lot of orders about what he's supposed to do with the kids. And my parenting style is a bit different at times. So when I'm in charge, it's like, I'm the captain of the ship now. And it is so much fun. I don't abuse it too much, but we like to have some fun with it. And so she was in Bahamas with her girlfriends a couple weeks ago, and she went out to Montana to visit her sister. And I handle the main things and the most important things, but I do enjoy that time with the kids because no more getting bossed around by Jesse Nelson.
The control enthusiast line, like Tausch being a racket sport enthusiast, is pretty darn good. All right, we want to make sure we have enough time for questions from fans because we did such a bad job of managing that earlier in the week. So my only question for you before we move forward is this, about the UW and the varsity collective and NIL and the transfer portal, football and basketball. Look, was the old system of guys getting paid under the table like the movie Blue Chips ideal? No, of course not. But now it still doesn't feel like it's up in the above board because we have no idea what each player's getting. We don't know what pool there is for money for all these different schools. There is no salary cap like the NFL. So having been in this world, not as a recipient, but as someone trying to help his proud university, where do you see this headed? And where do you see Wisconsin in the grand scheme of this? Because it just frustrates me beyond belief that there are no real guardrails or rules that are being required of every school to follow.
Well, I think where it's headed is you're going to need some type of congressional action where they're changing the laws and changing the structure to be able to make college sports, specifically the revenue sports, look a lot more like professional sports, where somehow the players can become employees of the university, or maybe there's a separate LLC where they're now employees of the Wisconsin Badgers LLC football program or whatever, and now they can be employees and they can be paid, and then now you can track how they're paid, and then all these schools in the NCAA can get an antitrust exemption, which is what pro sports teams need to get to be able to collectively bargain contracts and have salary caps and have restrictions that legally you can't have with employees. But I think that's the only way that they're going to be able to save college sports in the long run. And it seems like there's enough people in Congress that see the problem, that are trying to figure out what they need to do, that it's not going to be a partisan issue because, I mean, who doesn't want to save college sports, right? Like, we want to see this fair, equitable, transparent, where the players are being rewarded and valued for their work and their income that they're creating for their university, for their programs. But there has to be more transparency. There needs to be some type of salary restrictions and parity fairness across the board like you see in pro sports, whether that be revenue sharing between the teams, whether that be a salary cap, salary floor. I don't know exactly what that'll look like. That's up to the lawyers and the smarter people than me to figure out. But the path that they have right now is not sustainable. And I think the story that tells everything you need to know about where college sports is right now is if you look at Ohio State. Like, everyone on the outside would think that program is doing as well as they possibly could, right? Mm-hmm. They just won the national championship. They got all these great recruits, all this prestige. I mean, they did the things. They did what you want to do. You want to win the national championship. You know what? They lost money last year because everybody is chasing these players out there, these 18-year-old kids, these 19-year-old kids with NIL and in the transfer portal, and nobody knows what the value of these players are. Nobody knows where to come in with contracts. Nobody knows what everybody else is getting paid. You see teams. I was talking to Fickle over Halloween, and he's like, we're afraid to put our freshmen that we really like on the field on special teams because Ohio State, Michigan, some of these teams with deep pockets see them run down fast on kickoff and then just go steal them from us before we've had a chance to develop them and then turn them into good players that are going to be starters on offense and defense. And so, like, you can't have that long-term to have a successful and healthy program, sport, football, basketball, hockey, whatever it is. And so there needs to be some guardrails. We need to figure that side of it out. And I think it's going to have to come from congressional action to change laws to be able to make the players employees and allow the same restrictions as we see in pro sports.
And you can't have even your national championship football program ending up in the red because that is also what finances all the other sports that don't bring in that revenue. And that's the only other, I've brought this up a few times, and I like Mac a lot. I don't understand how on earth a powerhouse program like Wisconsin could demolish an indoor training facility for its track and field teams without a sufficient replacement for them existing. And so the fact that Tara Clack's family had to basically convert a warehouse that her dad had in Lodi to give them somewhere to practice is ridiculous. That said, I'm also concerned that all of those non-revenue sports, which, oh, by the way, women's basketball is one of them, and your wife played basketball at Wisconsin, so it's not just about the big three of men's basketball, football, and men's hockey. It's all these sports. Are you hopeful that not only can we get this piece, because it's not just this piece, it's also how do we make sure that the pieces that are doling out NIL money are making enough money to keep the other ones afloat? I had seen a report that there are talks of just reducing it to 16 sports at every school because of this. You think the people that are still mad that there's no baseball at Wisconsin are going to be happy about that? No. I mean, does that concern you as well as someone who cares about the university and whose wife played a sport that does not necessarily generate revenue?
My wife played basketball at Wisconsin. I was on the track team. I won't say track athlete because I was a thrower, shot and disc, for 2 years, and I love my time, right? And lots of friends still very close to the Clack family, and a lot of the people that have brought up the issues on the Wisconsin track side of things. And I think when you look at, all right, what has always made college sports very special? It wasn't the fact that they weren't getting paid. Like, people want to point to that, but to me, the magic of college sports is you've got these kids that are 18, 19, 20 years old. They're leaving home for the very first time. They're coming together as a team to try to find a common goal to win a championship in whatever they're doing. And they're doing it with a backdrop of mingling and mixing and becoming part of a greater beauty of an athletic program within that university that is special and beholden to all the alumni and all the students that have pride in not just the teams that make money. It's the track program, the women's basketball program, the hockey program, the tennis, the golf, the women's soccer, the women's hockey. Like, the beauty of college sports is that you have all these sports and they add value, even though they're not selling tickets and they're not making a bunch of money in TV. They're adding a ton of value to college athletics as a whole, to the experience for college students, to the experience for college student athletes, to the experience for the people that are playing football and get to go to the Fetzer Center and get to go make friends with the guys on the hockey team and the girls on the volleyball team, and they get to share in the experience of being a college athlete where you're leaving home for the very first time, experiencing all the hardships of showing up and trying to make grades and going and studying together at the Van Heist building, and then going to practice, and then traveling and trying to maintain and balance the social life with the athletic life and the academic life. Like, the beauty of navigating that as a kid for the very first time is what makes college sports special, and what makes fans reflect back on their time as students or as athletes when they were in college and think about it so romantically. And that's part of the reason why we love watching these kids, because we know what they're going through, right? And so I think when you look at it from all these sports add value, even though they don't all directly produce and provide dollars and cents to the program. How do we find a way to maintain all of that while still making it fair and rewarding the players, the athletes that are making a lot of money for the football, the basketball, all those revenue sports? And I think it comes back to what I was just saying about you need some type of congressional action to allow the NCAA to monitor the players and what they're getting paid like their employees, and to put some type of restrictions and salary cap and figure out, okay, how much is the money that we are making with our TV revenue and our ticket sales and our merchandise throughout, let's just say, the Big Ten? What is that dollar number? All right, how much do we need to be able to continue to fund at a reasonable level all of our non-revenue sports? So let's cut that out. And then now let's figure out how much is reasonable to have administrative costs and the coach costs and the equipment and building upgrades. Okay, where's that number? And then that's your salary cap. Everything underneath that is what you're allowed to spend on your players. And I think the genius of the NFL, and the reason, outside of football being a great sport, the reason that it's our most successful professional sport by far is because they did get together, the genius owners of the NFL 50 years ago or whatever, and decide, hey, we're all better if every team at the beginning of the season thinks that they have a chance to win a Super Bowl. So we need to give some ability for Green Bay and Cleveland and Detroit to compete with New York and LA. How are we going to do that? We're going to share in the revenue. We've got enough money to go around for everybody, as long as we're all not greedy and we realize that we're all going to win together, and we can grow this pot big enough where individually we'll all be better as a collective than we could be if we all went out on our own and it was just every man for himself. And so I think once college sports realize that and they find a way to thread that needle to get their programs like the NCAA looking like college or the NFL, basketball, baseball, then you'll have an opportunity to save all those non-revenue sports to get back to a model that looked like what we did have, while still allowing you to reward the college athletes that are putting their bodies on the line and are creating a ton of money for their programs and their coaches and the administrators. But there's a way to do it fairly. It needs to be with some type of salary caps, some type of transparency, figuring out how much everybody's making, and then just splitting the pie up appropriately.
And they can dial back how much they're paying players, because you know as well as I do that as a top 10 pick in 2007, you got a much larger contract than a top 10 pick gets after the new collective bargaining agreement came along in 11. And they said, we've got to get control of our rookie salaries, and we can't be paying unproven guys $50 million as the top pick because they're a quarterback. Sometimes it works out and Matthew Stafford ends up being really good. Sometimes it's Jamarcus Russell and it's not such a good investment. So they did that in their league. You can certainly do that with NIL and how that money is dispersed. All right.
Real quick. Once you find out what is the revenue we're all making, then the market gets set. It sets itself, right? Then you find out what is fair to pay your quarterback. But until you know what is the money that everybody has out here that we're all making together, like, how would you know how much to pay a quarterback?
Right.
Nobody knows. Like, you have no idea. Is it $5 million? Is it $10 million? Is it $500,000? Like, and then it just becomes you're all tearing each other down, trying to compete for the same guys, and then you get an Ohio State situation. They got what they want in the national championship, but they had to lose money to do it, which doesn't seem like this is sustainable in the long run also.
No, not at all. All right, we'll get to your questions for Joe. Jesse's been curating those. Want to remind you that spring is here, clearly, finally, and it's time to refresh your home. And during Steinhaffel's Get Ready for Spring sale, you'll find all the latest looks and trends to transform your space. And if you need design help, Steinhaffel's design packages are on sale, and their designers are by your side every step of the way. Plus, if you buy a premium mattress, you'll get free premier delivery on everything as well. So the Get Ready for Spring sale, only at Steinhaffel's and steinhaffels.com. Our questions for Joe Thomas are next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Call Gina Della from Pella today, 855-PELLA-WI, and online at PellaWI.com/radio.
All right, everybody, it's time for Free Food Friday on Wilde and Tausch, and it's brought to you by Pizza Hut. Caller number 7 right now at 844-770-3776. Caller number 7 wins free pizza and wings for courtesy of Pizza Hut. It's Free Food Friday on ESPN Madison, and it is brought to you by Pizza Hut. It's game day, especially this time of year. Feels like every day is game day, and you need a winning pizza lineup. Pepperoni, sausage, and mushroom, that's one option. Ham, pineapple, and bacon, that's another option. The choice is yours right now. Get a large 3-topping pizza for just $11.99. What a deal, available for delivery or carryout at Pizza Hut. $11.99 for a 3-topping large pizza at Pizza Hut. Create your perfect pizza no matter the game plan. Head to pizzahut.com or select Pizza Hut locations to enjoy your own Free Food Friday. No one out pizzas the Hut, and your chance to win free food from Pizza Hut right now. Caller 7 at 844-770-3776. Free Food Friday on ESPN Madison, brought to you by Pizza Hut.
The sound of summer is on ESPN Madison.
The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Madison's home of the Brewers.
Fly ball right field. Hit a ton. We're tied.
Catch every Milwaukee Brewers game this season on 100.5 ESPN.
Get up. Get out of here. Gone.
Brewers baseball on ESPN Madison is presented by Hard Rock Casino Rockford and brought to you by Starion Bank and Sinden Chevy in Mount Horeb.
Look what we have here. It's the refreshing deliciousness of a Pepsi mini can. It's the perfect complement to any meal. The dash of indulgence your day was dreaming of. The sip that'll have you singing Pepsi.
Nope, not again, Steve. Let's take a cue from the Pepsi mini can and pack all that awesomeness you're feeling into a much smaller treat for everyone. Deal?
So, big awesomeness, smaller size. I think I've got just the thing.
Pepsi mini can. Mini can, big taste.
Zimbrick Honda has been a proud part of the Madison community since 1973. They're your one-stop shop for over 250 new Hondas to choose from. Whether you're looking for a sedan, SUV, or truck, their selection of new vehicles is second to none. Stop in today at their location on Fish Hatchery Road and lease a 2025 Honda Passport EXL for as low as $349 per month. Or browse their vehicle selection online at ZimbrickHonda.com. That's ZimbrickHonda.com. Shop local, shop Zimbrick Honda.
The GRB Rays have established themselves as one of the top baseball programs in the Midwest and the country. GRB Academy offers training programs for players of all ages and skill levels. Learn from some of the best baseball coaches in the area and find the program that fits your training goals and your schedule. Spots are filling up fast, so visit grbacademy.com to sign up now. That's grbacademy.com. GRB Academy, baseball for the serious player.
Attention business owners and executives. Looking for a bank that's invested in your community as you are? Look no further than Starion Bank. As a Dane County community bank, Starion offers competitive deposit and loan rates while actively supporting local initiatives. Visit a business banker at one of our convenient branches in Middleton, Monona, and Sun Prairie. Starion Bank, full-service business banking, lending, and cash management.
Mark Tusher here for Chalmers Jewelers. I've been a big fan of Scott Garrett and the whole team at Chalmers Jewelers for years now. I go there, my friends go there, and most importantly, my wife loves it whenever I get her something from Chalmers Jewelers. It's my go-to spot for birthdays, anniversaries, and any special occasion. For quality jewelry and a great experience, choose Chalmers Jewelers, the place to go for that perfect gift. Stop at Chalmers Jewelers in Middleton and Madison.
Chalmers Jewelers. in Middleton
and Madison.
Wilde and Tausch on 100.5 ESPN is brought to you by Everlight Solar. Save money, save the planet. Everlight Solar.
Continuing with Joe Thomas as our cousin sub of the day. Cousin subs, we believe in better. These better be good questions, Jesse. For Joe, since you're the boss, I turn it over to you.
I mean, if they're not good questions, they're on the people asking them, I suppose, right? Joe,
nobody takes responsibility like Jesse.
Q&A
You're
time.
the one picking them.
Sure, but they're the ones asking. I'm just a conduit. You know a thing or two about that, huh? Joseph on YouTube leads us off. Any nagging injuries, Joe, that you fought through during your Ironman streak that some other players perhaps would have chosen to sit out a game or two to battle?
I always seem to have something by the end of the season. 2012, I think I tore my LCL the last game of the season, played the rest of the game, and then found out after the game when I got my MRI that I had a grade 2 tear and that I was going to be out 4 weeks had it not been the last game of the season. My left knee was actually kind of what caused me to retire. It was pretty bad my last few years, where I think my last season I only practiced 3 days because my knee was so bad. And my last 2 years I couldn't watch practice because I couldn't stand on it. So I just lay in the training room. And how I got in shape for games is that I started swimming. And so that's how I tried to maintain some level of fitness. And I had a hip that was bad. And actually, I'm getting my hip replaced on Monday. So,
Whoa, breaking news on Wilde and
There we
Tausch.
go. Yeah. So, when you play offensive line for more than 10,000 straight plays, you're going to have some wear and tear, It's like eventually you got to replace the belts in your car, because if you're going to run it down the highway for 200,000 miles and never change the oil, you're going to have some issues.
Wow. A new hip?
Yeah, baby. I can't wait. You're going to be sprinting down these hallways next time I'm here.
So we should not ask you to fill in for Tausch next week if he ends up needing an extra day.
I may be on some happy meds at that point to deal with the pain, so I might be a little bit extra goofy.
Remote setup could be a Digi only. We could be onto something there.
Yeah.
Another one from Walter on YouTube. If Joe can't say Cleveland, did he have a preferred spot or two he would have loved to land in the draft? I'm assuming he's not asking being the number 1 overall pick. I'm thinking he means cities or teams you would have wanted to play for.
Yeah, so Oakland was 1, Detroit was 2, Cleveland was 3, and I'm probably the only guy in NFL history that was hoping to go to either Detroit or Cleveland when he got drafted, because I knew that there was really good fishing because both of them were by Lake Erie.
Oh, man.
And I was like, a Midwest boy, I feel like as a lineman getting drafted in the top 5, not all the fan base gets too excited about that usually, but I'm like, you know what, in the Midwest, in Detroit or Cleveland, they're going to appreciate some good O-line play. So if it wasn't Cleveland, I was hoping it would be Detroit.
You would have had to fall pretty far because, you could have gone second to Detroit, obviously.
Detroit was 2, yep.
After that, though, Tampa, Arizona, Washington, Minnesota, land of 10,000 lakes. Good. Could have been some good fishing there.
Never liked the Vikings, though. That was a problem.
Atlanta, Miami?
No, I was really afraid of getting drafted somewhere hot, to be honest, because I always really had a hard time dealing with the heat in games and training camp, and I was like, oh, crap. If Cleveland doesn't take me and I go to, Arizona or Miami or Tampa, I was like, oh, boy, this is going to be bad, because I always had a hard time keeping weight on anyway, and I would lose 10 or 12 pounds in a practice, and back then we'd do 2-a-days, so I'd lose 10 pounds in the morning on a hot day. I would get a couple bags of IV fluid, and I'd eat lunch, and then we'd go back out there in the afternoon. I'd lose another 12 pounds, and it just wears you down physically and mentally to lose that much weight every single day and have to give yourself an IV, or I didn't give myself an IV. They gave me an IV. To get back
Putting
up,
it in yourself.
just to be able to go practice the next day. And I talked to Jake Long. He was first overall pick the year after me to Miami, another Midwest kid that, playing down there in the hot weather. I'm like, dude, how did you do it? He's like, every single day I got an IV in the morning and I got an IV in the afternoon or the evening. And he's like, that's just all you could do. I'm like, oh, man. He's like, it sucked.
Well,
a lot better up in the north.
I can tell you from experience, Tausch and I have the same problem with trying to keep weight on. It's so frustrating. I just can't tell you how difficult that is. All right,
I know a solution. It's the Hall of Fame donut shop I'm going to open up.
Yeah, or I just want to get some of the beef sticks.
Oh, we'll leave some around. I got the jalapeno cheddar right here. We'll leave a pack.
He never comes
but you're never
here,
so I'll mail
Yeah.
some to your house.
I knew I could count on
Your
you.
number's still 911? Okay, great.
You can also count on ESPN Wisconsin on opening day. Get those tailgate grills out and grab your groceries. Opening day in Milwaukee is almost here. It is Monday. It is Tausch's return, and it's the unofficial start to summer with the Brewers home opener. And ESPN Wisconsin will be all over it. Sponsored by Carbless ready-to-drink cocktails. We'll have live shows from inside the ballpark, special guests all day, and an unmatched excitement for the crew as ESPN Wisconsin will carry every pitch of the home opener. Opening day on ESPN Wisconsin is sponsored by Carbless, so grab a pack today and be the MVP of your tailgate. More questions for Joe Thomas next. It's Wilde and Tausch.
This is Wilde and Tausch, driven by Zimbrick Chevrolet in Sun Prairie on 100.5 ESPN. See their full inventory at ZimbrickChevrolet.com.
Mark Tauscher here to tell you a little bit more about Everlight Solar. We all know that electricity costs are on the rise. That's why you need to talk to my friends over at Everlight Solar. Their local team here in Madison is here to keep it simple. From your no-cost consultation to solar panel installation, the team at Everlight Solar will be with you every step of the way. Not only will they help you save money, but by switching to solar, you're also helping save the planet. Everlight Solar, a proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics. Check them out at everlightsolar.com.
It's time for the Milwaukee Basketball Report on 100.5 ESPN.
Lillard's going to tee up a three, and he splashes it through from the left wing.
Brought to you by Michelob Ultra, the official beer of the Milwaukee Bucks.
The Bucks wrapped up their 5-game road trip on a sour note, falling to the Denver Nuggets 127-117. Milwaukee played without Giannis and Damian Lillard, but still had 7 players score in double figures, including all 5 starters. Head coach Doc Rivers proud of his guys' effort despite the loss.
But we had a chance to win that game on the road in Denver, probably the toughest place in the league to play. I couldn't be more proud of our guys right now.
Brooke Lopez paced the Deer with a team-high 26 points to go along with 7 rebounds and 3 blocks. Ryan Rollins added 17 points off the bench in just 18 minutes of action. The Bucks finished their West Coast swing at 2-3 and fall to 40-32 overall. They're back home at Fiserv Forum Friday night to take on the New York Knicks.
This has been your Milwaukee Basketball Report on Madison's home for Bucks basketball, 100.5 ESPN. Brought to you by Michelob Ultra.
Being a Pella consultant means helping people build their dreams.
Customers really appreciate just how prepared we are. All the samples, the videos, pictures.
We are with you from start to finish. You literally have a friend from beginning to end and beyond with your project.
Our Pella team simplifies the process, taking time to listen and find the right solution for you. And right now, get windows as low as $22 per month and doors as low as $89 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. It's 3/31/2025.
Every event tells a story, from the first impression to the final moments. Have someone guide your guests through every chapter the way you want the story told. Hi, it's Jeffrey from Celebrations Entertainment. With a strong presence, great voices, and an award-winning team, trust us to guide, direct, and inform your guests through all the different chapters of the day. For fun, memorable entertainment for any event, please visit us at celebrationsentertainment.com. That's celebrationsentertainment.com.
Sharon needed legal help. She needed Gruber Law Offices.
When I think about Gruber Law Office, I think about how they took care of me, how they make sure that you get what you're supposed to get. Gruber Law Office. One call, that's all. I will always, always trust one call, that's all.
Injured? Call Gruber Law Offices today. One call, that's all.
They are the best. I'm very happy.
Football fans, Verizon is giving you the chance to win the ultimate draft experience with the Road to the Draft sweepstakes. 10 lucky winners will win tickets to the first day of the 2025 draft in Green Bay, including round-trip car service from Milwaukee, hotel accommodations, plus access to the Verizon viewing zone. Don't miss your chance to win the ultimate draft experience powered by Verizon. Hurry to select Wisconsin Verizon locations to enter by April 13th. No purchase necessary to enter. Must be legal U.S. resident of Wisconsin or Illinois, age 21 years or older to enter. Void where prohibited. For official rules and full details, visit www.espnwisconsincontest.com.
The madness has arrived at Metro Ford of Madison this month. Get behind the wheel of a 2024 Ford F-150 with 3.9% APR for 66 months plus $2,000 flex buy cash, $16.86 cost per thousand borrowed. Or drive away in the 2024 Ford Escape with 1.9% APR for 66 months plus $500 flex buy cash, $15.97 cost per thousand. Don't miss out. These offers end March 31st. Head to Metro Ford of Madison or visit metrofordofmadison.com today.
Brewers baseball is in the air.
It's back, and it is up, and it is gone. A walk-off homer for Vinny Capra.
Spring back into the baseball season on 100.5 ESPN, Madison's new home of the Milwaukee Brewers.
I'm not afraid of getting old, and I will escape from dying young. I see the light and go past my shoulder. I'm one less day from dying young.
Let's get to a few more questions for Joe before we bid him adieu. Jesse, what do you have from the Carbless Talkin' text line?
Well, this is more here. This one is from Dave in Aaron, one of the first questions in for Joe today. What's it like being on a team where the GM doesn't take you out to pasture when you get old?
Ha!
I believe that is a comment on Brian Gutekunst, who doesn't like players over 30 years old on the Green Bay Packers.
Joe, how old were you for your final season?
I thought that was a Hall of Fame beef cattle pun there for a second. I had to read it a couple times. My last season in Cleveland, I think I was 34.
Oh, you'd have been long gone here.
Yeah, but I mean, my knee was really bad. Like I mentioned, I think I practiced 3 times my last season. Tore my tricep in week 7, but I didn't think my knee was going to last the whole year. And so I was like, I'm done. There's no way I can play another season. Mentally or physically, I can't go through this. Every week I was getting my knee drained, getting an injection. I couldn't walk. I was walking down the stairs backwards or on my butt. It was just miserable being like that. But still, at the end of the season, the owners and the head coach and GM brought me into the office to have a meeting to beg me to come back. And I wanted to tell them guys, this is bad money if you spend it on me right now. There is no way that I'm going to be able to play another season. I just don't have it anymore. I wish I could. Mind is willing, but the body is not. And they still wanted me back. But I just didn't think that I could have ever put myself out there where I couldn't maintain my standard of excellence that I had and just go out there and collect a check. So maybe if it was Gutekunst, he would have got rid of me way before then. But who knows?
Last one on the text line comes from our buddy Jeff in Monroe, home of the Cheesemakers. Mm-hmm. Was Joe a Packers fan growing up? And with all other things being the same, would that have been his top place to play?
I was a big Packers fan growing up. That was one of the other family traditions, coming home after church on Sunday. Back then the Packer games were always at noon. So we go to the earlier service, come home. Mom would make chili. She always made Packer chili, which was like a black chili. She got some recipe from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel back in the day, and that's what we always had with some crackers and some cheddar cheese, and then we'd sit on the couch and watch the old dial TV where you'd push it in with the plug. Jesse knows nothing about that. And we watched the Packers. It was great. And I was hoping they would draft me, but I think that draft they were pretty far back, and there was
16.
Yeah, and at the time they still had Chad Clifton as a left tackle, I think, and so it wasn't really at that time a conversation if they would come up and ever pick me. So I didn't really have those dreams. They died quickly.
Well, you're certainly a Hall of Famer and a first-round draft choice when it comes to Cousin Subs the Day, but you will be sidelined from that opportunity for a little while with your new hip. Although, don't they get you up and moving?
Yeah, right away.
Right after you have the surgery?
Yeah, immediately. So a lot of NFL players, obviously, even young guys in their 40s like I am, get the hips done. So I've talked to them, and all of them have been like, "Oh, it's the best thing ever." I was 100% back in 6 weeks. It was so easy. I was moving around, doing everything. I wish I would have done it sooner. So I'm hoping that that's my story, and I'm not like the outlier, like on the other end of things.
Wow. Well, we wish you luck with that.
Thank you.
We thank you for your service today, because I don't know what we would have done. It would have been another show with me and Jesse, and we can't have that.
That would have been tough.
Not good.
And as the many folks that love to eat at Mission Barbecue know, we appreciate their service much more than the stupidity that we do here of talking sports on the radio. Joe, I will catch up with you down the road. We'll let you get out of here a little bit early. But thanks a lot, man. It's been great to catch up with you, and give our best to Annie and all the kiddos, too, because it takes a village to put up with a Joe Thomas.
There's no doubt about that. I always have an amazing time. So thanks again from the bottom of my heart for offering me the opportunity to work for Jesse for one more day. I hope I get to come back again and do it, because it's always a highlight of my week. So thanks, guys. It's been fun.
All right, that is Joe Thomas. We will be joined by another guest for our Feel Good Friday, painted by Hallman Lindsay Paints. Sandy Morales, the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Dane County, joins us next to help talk about the big draft that's going on over the next month in conjunction with the NFL draft in Green Bay. She joins us next to wrap up the week with Feel Good Friday, painted by Hallman Lindsay Paints. It's Wilde and Tausch.
We're on the Packers.
If they're not better this year,
because we're on Wisconsin sports,
there's going to be a lot of seats warming up.
Nobody covers the green and gold like 100.5 ESPN.
Mark Tauscher here, and with baseball season underway, as heard right here on 100.5 ESPN, it's definitely a Feel Good Friday on Wilde and Tausch, painted by Hallman Lindsay Paints. Stick around to start your weekend right by hearing some of the best feel-good stories of the week. And if you want to make sure you get your next paint project at home done right, then I suggest you do what my family did and trust the pro painters at Hallman Lindsay Paints. Get connected with the perfect pro painter for what your project calls for by simply stopping into any Madison area Hallman Lindsay location. The team at Hallman Lindsay will help pair you with the best pro for the job. And Hallman Lindsay is the one paint you can trust to withstand the challenges of Wisconsin's weather year-round. That's what makes it Wisconsin's best paint. Hallman Lindsay, great paint, great people. Check them out at hallmanlindsay.com. And stick around for Feel Good Friday coming up to close out this edition of Wilde and Tausch, painted by Hallman Lindsay Paints.
Rah. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin present your Badger Minute. Here's Pablo Iglesias.
This Badger Minute is brought to you by The Jump Around. Don't miss new episodes of this exclusive digital show, talking all things Wisconsin sports, premiering every Thursday at 12:30, streaming live on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel. 8 years since Wisconsin men's basketball reached the NCAA tournament's second weekend, while in football, 8 years since the program has won a New Year's Six bowl game. Program's hungry to fight for a title, but is it realistically in the cards? Brad Nortman with his perspective during Wilde and Tausch.
There are moments where it feels like you're close, but taken holistically, those look like blips. I think in order to win a championship, you have to consistently be that team. So you have to be able to have so many opportunities to win a national championship that then the stars align when you do it.
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get windows as low as $22 per month and doors as low as $89 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Join the Madison Money Guy, Christian Finfrock, for Retirement Income Strategies, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7. Get the information you need as you plan for retirement. That's Retirement Income Strategies, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7. Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Income Strategies, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Is it Waukesha or Waukesha? Brat or Brat? Is it ever okay to vacation in Minnesota? Wisconsinites can't agree on everything, but we can agree getting paid earlier is better. That's why UW Credit Union is making members direct deposits available up to 2 days earlier. Early payday at UW Credit Union. Join today. Federally insured by NCUA. Visit uwcu.org for details.
The sound of summaries on ESPN Madison.
The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Madison's home of the Brewers.
Fly ball right field. Hit a ton. We're tied.
Catch every Milwaukee Brewers game this season on 100.5 ESPN.
Get up. Get out of here. Gone.
Brewers baseball on ESPN Madison is presented by Hard Rock Casino Rockford and brought to you by J&K Security Solutions and Revive Restoration.
You're only minutes away from a better buying experience at Simden Chevy in Mount Horeb. Jim Rutledge here. What is a better buying experience? Well, that's the thing. You get to define it. It is the experience that is customized to you. What experience do you want at a car dealership? They can be your trusted friend or your trusted expert. So if you're in the market for a new or new-to-you Silverado, Colorado, Blazer, Trailblazer, remember, you're only minutes away from a better buying experience. And that's at Simden Chevy in Mount Horeb.
From the biggest plays on the court to the comments made in the locker room after, an in-depth recap of every Bucks game in 6 minutes. No more, no less. Bucks in 6 provides game recaps for every game. Hear the high-flying dunks from Giannis.
Puts it on the floor, spins down the lane, and plunges it through.
Or the deep threes from Dame.
Dame time has arrived with 107.
Bucks in 6 on the Bucks Plus Audio Network. Find it now on bucks.com/plus or on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcasts.
You gotta get down on Friday. It's time to finish the week off right. It's Feelgood Friday on Wilde and Tausch, painted by Hallman Lindsay.
Born and raised under the rain and a western wind, felt the weight. Try to live up to the say I am. Is it any wonder? Shame comes calling my first name. Is there any question if I'm the one he left to blame? It's the same fight all over again. It's the same night breaking on my skin. It's the same night when you let me in.
Time to wrap up the week with Feel Good Friday, painted by Hallman Lindsay Paints, and we do so with a special guest as we welcome in the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Dane County, Sandy Morales. Sandy, good morning. How are you today?
Good.
Jesse, do we have Sandy?
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Hi, Sandy. How are you?
I'm good. Good to be here. Thank you. How are you?
We are so happy to have you, and Big Brothers Big Sisters has always been something that has been near and dear to my heart. Help us understand what you've got going on in conjunction with the NFL draft being here in Green Bay and you being in Dane County with Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Yes. So we are drafting the next generation of mentors. So Big Brothers Big Sisters of Dane County, along with about 14 affiliates throughout the state, are trying to recruit 700 volunteers to our communities. And here in Dane County alone, we're trying to recruit 100 mentors to be matched with kids in our community who are looking for someone to be in their corner, to spend time with, do fun activities, go out and get to know the community, and especially for our volunteer mentors to be a kid again. So it's an exciting time for us, and we're really excited about having these volunteers come in and really spend time with our kids that have been waiting for a mentor.
So so I did this in my mid to late 20s when I was in Madison. Now I'm in dad mode, not big brother mode. But look, the fact of the matter is that not every kid is lucky enough to have me as their dad. No, is in a position where they need that mentorship. They need that. So if we have a lot of people who love our show, and I'm guessing there are some that want to have an opportunity to make a difference. And this is such a rewarding pursuit. So if someone is listening now that wants to become a big brother or a big sister, help them understand what they need to do to get the ball rolling on that.
So to become a big in our program, we do offer very flexible options. You can actually volunteer with another person. So we have big couples. We also have big families. So families can actually volunteer to mentor a child. So you can, if you're already going to, the park, or if you're going to go to the movies, you're going to go get ice cream, just, bringing someone else along for that experience is great. And it's especially good for families as a way to give back to the community, welcoming someone else into, the family to that extent. But it really is an opportunity to create those experiences for kids that perhaps they wouldn't have otherwise. And to sign up to become a volunteer, you go to our website. You can either fill out an application or fill out an inquiry form, and that's how you get started. And interested volunteers can connect with somebody at our agency that could give you more information. We ask volunteers to volunteer for a year as a way to really build that meaningful relationship with someone in our community. And we go through training. There is an interview process as well. And we do also do background checks and reference checks, because again, we're talking about kids in our community and we want to keep them safe and we want to make sure these relationships are safe above all. So parents really trust us as the go-to source to find that special mentor for their child. And again, for the volunteer, we also want to make sure it's meaningful for them to spend time with someone that they can actually connect with.
Well, the big families part I didn't know about, so that is a conversation Paula and I and the girls will have to have. All right, before we let you go, and again, the website is BBBS, that's 3 B's, Madison.org to find out more about Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Dane County. I see you have some events, and you've already had Lego night, you had a guest bartender night, vinyl night at the Delta Beer Lab is next on the calendar. If you can't be a mentor right now, how else can you support the cause?
If you cannot support the cause as a volunteer mentor, it does take resources, financial resources, to go out and recruit volunteers, to enroll them in the process. Again, ensuring that we're making safe relationships and that we're supporting those relationships. That's one of the things that makes us unique. Our match support specialists are the ones that are checking in with parent, little, big, to make sure everything's going okay. We host over 30 events each year for our bigs and littles to participate. So those financial resources are very critical to ensure that we are making close to 200 new relationships each year, on top of supporting another 300 to 400 relationships that are already thriving and growing. So to do that, donations are very, very important. If people have tickets, unused tickets that they're not going to use for any sports, theater games, we also love those donations because it gives our matches an opportunity to go out and have those fun experiences as well.
Sandy, we appreciate your time. We're excited for the big draft, and we're glad we were able to catch up with you and find out about the program. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
That is Sandy Morales. She is the CEO of Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Dane County, and their big draft is our Feelgood Friday for this week. That's it for us today. Thanks again to Sandy and to Joe Thomas, and thanks to you for coming along for the ride with us. Have a great day. Take care. Be good.
Miss any of today's episode of Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin?